All right, here we go. All right. How are we doing tonight? Some technical issues as usual, right? Because I am a genius. I am just the technical genius of all time. What's up, everybody? What is up? Whoa, 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 whoa. Feedback, feedback, feedback. There we go. There we go. What's up, everyone? All right. Sound off. Gabriel, that's a new name. Welcome. Lyle, what's up? I like big bites, and I cannot lie. Zach, what's up? Kurt, door at the door. Yes. David, what's up? Book lover. Yes. William Foster, Bronwyn. Great to see you, Bronwyn, tonight. Glad you're back with us. Down the Wombat Hole. Good evening from down under. Yes. The Wonder from down under. Jessica, what is up? Andrew, what is up? PJR, how you doing tonight? Yeah. We're having some, all right. Party time is right. Kim, what's up? Jade, what's up? IC, what's up? Yes, yes, yes. We are in business. All right. So I've realized that my mic somehow is not compatible with OBS, which makes me very, very unhappy. Very, very unhappy. Ooh, glitching out there. Whoa, 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 whoa. Happy medium. Where's my happy medium? What's up? Guitar pedal buffoonery. Mary, what's up? Matthew, what's up? Janet, what is up? Rob, Dave, yes. TC, what is up? Jonathan. Jonathan, let me know if you got back into the dive. Weird situation. I had you registered and something was going on. I don't know what was going on. Casey, what's up? What is up? Yes, we have got a very, very crazy and disturbing story to go through tonight. Like, we don't have one every weekend, right? But this one is gonna like shake some people up, I think. Crispy, what's up? Dominic, what is up? Big Woolly Mammoth, what is up? What is up, my people? My people, what is going on? User, what is up? All right, Dominic, yeah, I think I said hello to you. All right. I haven't watched any of the new ads yet, so you're going to have to bear with me. I've been busy working on this presentation. This presentation was a lot of work. We've got quite a bit of slides to go through. Quicks, what's up? Ewok Hunter, what's up? Good day. Good day. Put a shrimp on the Barbie. Yeah, that's my Australian accent. Funny story. When I first moved down to New Jersey, I had a super heavy Boston accent. As a matter of fact, my wife said there were two guys in our class, in our little Joe Kubert ridiculous school, and she could only tell us apart because I was the one with the accent. But anyhow, I just started talking with my wicked piss of Boston accent, and people thought I was from Australia. It was weird. Very strange. Very strange. All right. All right, Jonathan. Good to hear. Casey, what's up? Oh, my goodness. Where is my drink? Where is my drink? Uh-oh. Give me a second, folks. Gotta just get my beverage. All right, we are in business. We are in business. Gonna wait a few minutes so people can saunter in. Oh my goodness, we have got a full house tonight. Full house tonight. This is awesome. This is awesome. Tanya, what is up? Thank you for joining us. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Not crazy about that freeze there. Oh my goodness. All right. All right. Vivi, what's up? Good to see you tonight. Good to see everyone here tonight. Very glad you could make it. Very glad you could all make it. I've got to sit up straight more often. Yes. People tell me I slouch. Oh, price of being tall. All right. Is everyone settled? Everyone got a nice... Oh, my goodness. We are cranking tonight. This is awesome. Iwakana, I did an online American accent test with my Aussie pronunciations, and the test told me I was from Boston. Yes. 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 There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That is what I am talking about. All right. All right. First time watching. I like big bites. Good. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you are all here for the big game. The big game, yes. All right. Here we go. This is going to get dark, folks. This is going to get very dark. I'm just warning you all. Warning you all. All right. Let's go. Cost of living, what's up? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. All right. Gonna get this party started. Gonna get this thing going. All right. Oh, we lost some people. Oh, my goodness. Where'd everybody go? All right. Is everyone settled? Is everyone ready? I'm going to get this thing going. NFLim. NHLim. There you go. What is up with notifications? It's like voodoo or something. I don't know what the hell's going on. So anyhow, let's get started. Let's get this thing going. Sorcery at the Super Bowl is a very, very dark subject. Krusty Breads, what's up? What is up? Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Glad you could make it. Glad you could join us. Good to go. All right. All right, here we go. So just take a good look at this image because this is going to be sort of the main part of the show. All right, this is the big centerpiece of our presentation. So if you're old school Secret Sun, you might remember this. NFL, NFLim, fall. In Hebrew, NFL or NPHL is fall. Okay, NFL. And the 44, that's the all-important 44. That doesn't seem to be too all-important these days, but what are you going to do? And I always notice that the orientation of the football in the new NFL logo fits the direction of Lyra. All right, Lyra. All right, here we go. So this year, you've probably heard the news. Rihanna is going to be doing the big halftime show, and that's what we're going to be talking about here, all right? This is from the VMAs, but it's all the same kind of thing. You've seen all this imagery many times by now. It's pretty much a cliche. Crypto, Egyptian, Crowleyan, pseudo-Masonic, pseudo-OTO. We just see this stuff over and over again at all these award ceremonies, including, of course, the Grammys, right? We saw all this at the Grammys with Sam A.L. Smith, as I call him, and his little satanic sideshow. It's brought to you by Pfizer. That's comforting, right? Here, stick that in my veins, Pfizer, with your satanistic... yeah, your satanistic patronage, right? So anyway, Rihanna, who we haven't heard a lot, she's been keeping a very low profile. I don't know what she's been up to. That song she covered a tune by Tame Impala that I like quite a bit. I've never been a big Rihanna fan. This is all like so Obama era, all this kind of stuff. It seems to me that we're kind of stuck in the Obama era with these, Maroon 5 and whomever, Justin Timberlake, whatever, I mean, all this kind of stuff. Beyonce, Rihanna, it's all like very 2010. But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? And here's Rihanna. She seems to be like a demonic paper doll for these designers and these stylists. Yeah, that's very creepy and unsettling. But we see a lot of this with this poor girl. Just seems to be, like I said, a little satanic paper doll for these people who have wormed their way into our popular culture and are like a virus rewriting it in their own image, aren't they? And here we go, Rihanna with a little bit of Agol adoration here, and then the horns and the hood, like sort of like a little satanic monk, I guess. Again, we've seen quite a bit of this. Not as much as we had a few years ago, 10 years ago. This was all over the place. She's been keeping a very low profile, which I was kind of surprised that she was announced for the halftime show. But par for the course, right? I mean, they had 50 Cent last year. I mean, where's that guy been, right? And Eminem, right? Mr. Has-Been. Mr. Washed Up Has-Been. So here she is again. She was like sort of a wholesome island girl when she first hit the scene. And then these sicko stylists got their claws into her and recreated her in their own image, as they want to do with all of us, okay? As they want to do with all of us. They all we're all supposed to look like this and think like this and dress like this and worship like this, most importantly. And again, this has just become so in your face. It's so boring. So boring. And this is a real theme with her. There's been a number of images where she's dressed up as Medusa. So we see this image on the right, this tweet, Raphael Pavarotti, Ib Kamara from Dazed and Confused, which I guess is now called Dazed, right? And there she is sort of wearing like Medusa-like dreadlocks. And on the left, Damien Hirst, yes, the sicko-psychotic himself, dressing her up as Medusa, the Gorgon, right? The Gorgon. Not a very wholesome image for the world to partake in, right? So again, this is a real through line with her, or her handlers and her stylists. They drug these people to great extent, right? They fill these people up with drugs, and a lot of times, they go Britney Spears or Madonna. Okay, or Lady Gaga. I don't know if you saw the video recently. I don't know when it was from, but somebody vomiting into her mouth in a concert. Yeah, that's great. Gigi Allen style, right? Gigi Allen, 1985. That's great, Lady Gaga. You're really blazing new trails. And on the left is the image promoting her Super Bowl appearance, halftime appearance, sponsored by Apple this year. And on the right, a fellow that you probably know quite well. I don't know. Either she's really into this stuff or her people are really into this stuff. But the interesting thing is that when I used to work in New York, my first job in New York was a company called Andover Togs, and it was at One Penn Plaza in 33rd Street of all places. There were a lot of girls from the islands, Barbados and Virgin Islands, and a lot of Barbadians, Jamaicans. They all had that kind of look that she had, almost like a feline kind of look. But she has just been messed up, giving her all those tats and these sick stylings and so on. So I'm not expecting good things to come out of her halftime show, let's just say. And again, this does seem like very old-fashioned. This seems like nothing is more old-fashioned than like trends from just a few years ago, right? I mean, you need a little bit more time so you can amp up the nostalgia value, but there's nothing older and more tired than a worn-out trend from just a couple years ago. Even though, again, I mean, this is like 10 years ago with her, right? So, that's just a little bit of preamble. So let's talk about a very brief, very bland halftime history, because for very many years, halftimes were, you'd get up, that's when you got up to go to the bathroom, or, make yourself a drink, or fix yourself a sandwich, or do whatever you're going to do. I mean, halftime shows were not a thing for very many years. It was just sort of obligatory, as we'll see very shortly, all right? So very brief and very bland halftime history, all right? The first Super Bowl was in 1967 at the LA Memorial Coliseum, all right? And it was marching bands, University of Arizona, Grambling State University, Anaheim High School, look at these. I mean, they're doing all show tunes, right? Sound of Music and Saints Go Marching. Yeah, William Tell Overture, right? So Grambling State University came back the next year. Florida A&M University Band. So this is like very similar to the Bowls, where they have the big marching bands. And this is what you had for a number of years. And then you had sort of your 40s has-beens being dragged out of mothballs for these presentations. It started to pick up a bit in the 90s, all right? So in the 80s, I guess the biggest halftime show that comes to mind is Whitney Houston, sort of her star-making appearance at the Super Bowl. Did she sing the Star Spangled Banner, I believe? But anyhow, so these are images here all from the 90s. We have a little bit of proto-Watcher symbolism with Gloria Estefan on the upper right-hand corner. We have Diana Ross on the lower right-hand corner. On the lower left, considered one of the worst halftime shows of all time, the Blues Brothers and James Brown. And it wasn't even the real Blues Brothers. It was Jim Belushi and John Goodman and Dan Aykroyd. It was just like enough already. And the upper right-hand corner was a Motown night, and we see Martha Reeves and Smokey Robinson. So throughout the 90s, this is still very wholesome and inert. When these people are appearing, this is almost like a signal that your career glory days are over, right? I mean, Smokey Robinson, Gloria Estefan. I mean, we're not even getting started on the Blues Brothers, but James Brown and Diana Ross. I mean, these people were all cycled out. I mean, for instance, Michael Jackson, I think, was in 92 and 93. And that's when he had already peaked and he was starting his decline. So, again, the halftime show was nothing to pay attention to. It was just there. It was just filler, essentially. And then things changed. Things soon changed. All right? Y2K. The rituals begin in earnest. All right? Now, this is going to be a little bit of a trip here. And we're going to look at some very interesting and unsettling imagery. So, again, the title of this presentation is Super Bowl Sorcery, okay? Now, with that in mind, what is the first image that we are going to look at? What is the first image that we are going to see in the Super Bowl halftime show in the year 2000? Well, we're going to see this guy. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. This is a statement. This is an announcement. Okay? This is telling us that we're going to be in for a wild ride for the next 23 years, right? At least, right? Sorcery has taken the stage. This is no longer about rolling out old has-been performers. This is about sorcerous ritual. And it can't get any more explicit than that image that you see there. And I'll tell you something. I mean, how sinister How sinister does Mickey look there? He looks rather unsettling, I would say. But a little bit out of order here. In 91, so this is at the time, during the time of the Gulf War, right? And this halftime show didn't even air during the game. They showed it afterwards. And this is considered probably the worst of all time. New Kids on the Block. On the left-hand corner is my old neighbor, Donnie Wahlberg. And this was, New Kids on the Block dancing around with all these Disney characters and all. I don't know who the hell. I mean, this is like Small World after all, kind of like Disney World performers. I don't know. Super Bowl 25, 1991, the launch of the Gulf War. And nobody was in the mood to watch these, speaking of Boston accents, right, to see these little street punks from Boston dance around with Disney characters, okay? Again, so here we go. This is what started. And I think when you start to look at this imagery, and maybe it's something you might not even paid attention to before, but when you just put this in the context of sorcery, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, okay? This is the first image they show at this halftime show, all right? This is Super Bowl 34, okay, year 2000. So this is where it's all going to begin. Ostensibly, the theme was The Lion King, okay? And ostensibly, this is supposed to be based on Julie Taymor's Lion King Broadway production. But as you will see, that explanation doesn't really hold water. So we have this orchestra playing on the stage, and we have this very sinister looking figure rising from the middle of the stage, this golden idol, some, I guess vaguely Southern African stylings here, but go back and watch this thing. It is creepy as it gets, all right? And here's the idol in its full flower. I never saw the Lion King play, but could somebody explain to me what the connection here is with the Lion King? I'm really stumped. It doesn't look like a lion, and it doesn't look like a king. It looks rather sinister, in my estimation. Just give me a second here. There we go. Okay, we're up to date. So we have this stage here, and if you look on either side of this giant, rather unsettlingly sinister character, we have all of the kinds of puppets, very large puppets, and we're going to talk about that because that seems to be a through line these days. And there's a close-up of it. What does that look like to you? All right. Just look at it, Put all other thoughts out of your mind, any kind of presuppositions or any kind of assumptions here. What does that look like to you? Very creepy. Very, very creepy. Looks like something that you'd see in a Sam Smith Grammys presentation, doesn't it? And then, of course, we see these, I guess, these sort of like Zulu warriors, and then people sort of in like lion costumes or animal costumes. And then we see these big puppets, right? And we see, always got to have that sort of platform that reminds you of the Tower of Babel, that sort of raised platform. Graduated platform, and there is the very creepy puppets that we're going to get a better look at in just a second. And here they are. Again, the theme is supposed to be the Lion King. What's the connection? What is the connection here? What are these puppets that remind me of Event Horizon, which we've talked about, right? The Watchers, right? I mean, oh, my nose is so itchy tonight. Anyhow, all this imagery is just very strange and sinister. I mean, I'm not going to put any further assumptions on it, but it is weird looking stuff. All right. And then again, we see them here. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like I said, I didn't see The Lion King, but I just don't understand why these giant featureless puppets have any connection to the show that they're putting on. It all seems rather sinister. And again, let's just remember that this is how it starts. It starts with the sorcerer. The sorcerer, okay? And just look at this imagery on the face of it. Don't try not to interpret it. Just look at the imagery itself. All right, and then here it is in full bloom. And then we see this circle, I guess is the circle of life. And this rather sinister and, dare I say, demonic looking figure in the center. All right? Yeah, Zach says Gothard Tunnel vibes. I am inclined to agree. I am inclined to agree. Very, very weird. So what we're seeing here is a paradigm shift in the presentation of these Super Bowl halftime shows. And as you'll remember, I've talked at length about how they are using the aegis or the excuse of art installations or performance art. You know, they're using art as a cudgel to start to sneak in a lot of this very ritualistic looking imagery. Now, again, if I told you that this was some cult presentation, this was some cult, like Luciferian cult, right? Like there's some cult that worshiped Lucifer, and they were putting on a little religious display and use this exact same imagery, would you even blink? Would you even blink? Would you even doubt me? No, I don't think you would. I don't think you would. And then this, I suppose it's supposed to be a clock face, but there's something just weird, very weird about this imagery. And again, this is all supposed to be The Lion King. I don't know. I remember seeing The Lion King in a when it was still unfinished. I remember seeing it in a screening in New York. And I remember Michael Eisner was there, and he was hanging out with like Felix Rohatyn, who was like a big, one of these sort of behind the scenes guys that was running New York at the time. Bunch of people like that, you know. And I did a lot of artwork for t-shirts and so on for The Lion King. So I know that film pretty well. I know that franchise pretty well. I am just stumped what the connection is here. But I think we see the stars and the time. This is telling us the times have changed, right? The time is coming to an end, perhaps. Coming to an end, perhaps. And there's Phil Collins singing his tracks, and we see this kind of solar symbolism here, right? Phil Collins, whose health, very sadly, has deteriorated quite a bit. He did a tour with Genesis and had to be sitting in a chair for most of it, and can no longer play the drums, which is a tragedy, because no matter what you think of Phil Collins' music, he is one of the best drummers of all time. Just a phenomenal musician, very talented singer, songwriter. You know, he sort of became a punchline, was very much a punchline by this point, right? But I think he is extraordinarily talented. Whether or not I care for a lot of the pablum that he produced. But anyhow, so Phil Collins, what is he known as? Genesis, right? So Genesis, it seems to be, we're seeing a new Genesis here, more so than a Lion King, okay? And of course, this is the year 2000, so what else is going on in the year 2000 that also connects to Genesis? The Millennium Dome Show, of course. Peter Gabriel, Elizabeth, Paul Buchanan, a number of people. This is Peter Gabriel and Elizabeth performing songs from the Millennium Dome Show album Ovo, Egg, right? Ovo, we've heard a lot about eggs recently, right? On Jules Holland in May of 2000. So this is a couple months after the Super Bowl halftime show. But also, the same symbolism, Genesis, the new Genesis, right? The new Genesis unfolding. And again, just look at this imagery on the face of it. Just look at that image. Take that in. I mean, what does that look like to you? Not what they're telling you it's meant to look like. All right? So there we go. This is the start. This is the start of the ritual cycle. Now, I'm not going to have time to go into all the Super Bowls and the halftime shows because we have some things that we're going to be getting into more in depth. So I'm just going to be skipping around a bit. But I think I hope you see that the year, Y2K, year 2000, the new millennium, the Millennium Dome show, all seems to tie in together, and we're seeing what was just bland, take it or leave it entertainment with has-been singers and marching bands becoming international ritual. U2 911. All right. I remember watching this. We were invited to a Super Bowl party, my friend's son's family, and they had a TV that was this. I think it was like the size of my house. It was the size of like a small movie screen, just absolutely enormous. And we were watching U2 do "Beautiful Day" and so on, but I don't want to go too much into that because there's not really much to look at here. They're basically just a pretty much straightforward stage setup, right? And then they have these names being projected to people who were killed during 9/11, many of whom were from the town that I'm in now. I think 17 people died, including my son's football coach and one of my son's best friend's dads died that day. So, yes, so U2, but I believe very strongly that U2 is the conduit for a figure that we're going to be talking about very shortly that really amped up the ritualism that we see here. I believe that Julie Taymor was involved in the 2000 presentation, but clearly, it was a new century, new decade, new millennium, and the sorcerers wanted to let people know who was in charge, okay? Now, this doesn't really have much to do. Like I said, there's not much to look at, right? But this is from the State of the Union on Tuesday, where Bono was just looking like the picture of Dorian Gray. We're sitting next to Paul Pelosi, who was looking like the Godfather, right? And somebody had pointed out that Bono is starting to morph into Jimmy Savile, and I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that observation. And if you've been reading the work that I've been doing, particularly as it pertains to Bono, I think you will understand that. That they might have a little more in common than U2 fans would like to admit. Okay? All right. Now, I've talked a lot about Bono's friends, and this one, this image the image on the right is from Cracked, believe it or not. I don't even know if Cracked is still in existence. But Bono is a tremendously insecure man who needs to borrow cred from all these old figures like William S. Burroughs and Donald Cammell, who played Osiris in Lucifer Rising. And of course, Allen Ginsberg. And of course, I think he borrowed this from The Clash. The Clash sort of adopted Allen Ginsberg back in the early 80s before Allen Ginsberg outed himself as a member of NAMBLA. The famous beat poet joined the pedophile organization in the early 80s in defense of free speech, insisting that he had no intention to apologize for rape and mental or physical violation of children. Thanks, Allen. That's a nice sentiment. And did not personally make carnal love to hairless boys and girls. Yeah, I think that's probably not entirely candid there, Allen. But before applying that we all want to, right? And reminds me of a, what was that? It was something with Burroughs where he got drunk at a party and said that anybody who doesn't want to have sex with like a 12-year-old Arab boy is either drunk or a liar. Yeah, so these are our culture makers, right? These are our culture makers. Allen Ginsberg was also very close friends with George Soros, of course. So somebody in the chat had mentioned this, the wardrobe malfunction. This is fast forwarding a couple years. Yeah, that's it. Nobody bought that explanation. Janet Jackson, who basically put paid to her career with this little stunt here. So she came out, and again, we're starting to see like this sort of S&M, this very fetishistic kind of imagery here with Janet Jackson and her dancers all looking, done up in leather and latex, very fetishistic, bondage, and so on, kind of an S&M thing. And actually that woman in the lower left almost looks like she's wearing a bondage mask, like she's a gimp or something. So this is, they're starting to amp up the content, let's just say, the content. And Justin Timberlake looking like he just wandered in from, a family barbecue. So we've got Janet Jackson and all her dances done up in all this fetishistic gear. And then we have Justin Timberlake, wander in and start singing with her and pulls down one of her cups, let's just say, on this little outfit here, and we see this 8-pointed star revealed. So the Star of Ishtar, right? This is almost like Isis unveiled. So this was a notorious moment in the history of Super Bowls. Huge backlash. And people wouldn't even blink at this now. I mean, compared to what we see on these shows now, this is practically family entertainment, isn't it? But this was a huge, this image here was very iconic in the internet, maybe about almost 20 years ago now, right? So, boy, that just seems like forever ago, doesn't it? Forever ago. Now, so the exposed breast, so this is where I started to really think about Knowles's first law, because there was such a to-do about it, there was such a hullabaloo about it, but I was already familiar with the one breast exposed being a very common image that we see in depictions of goddesses. On the right, we have Demeter with her, her stalks of wheat with the breast exposed, right? And then I believe on the left, that's a medieval depiction of Hebe, who is the Greek goddess of youth, okay? And very interesting, look at that hair. It almost looks like it's made out of copper coil or something. But yeah, so the one breast exposed motif, if you know anything about ancient art or ancient symbolism, that in conjunction with the 8-pointed star, it was almost like a shuriken on her nipple there. This is when I really started to think, something else is going on here. Something else is going on here, all right? And about 10 years or so ago, Time magazine also got in the act with this rather strange... That woman looks uncannily like Ivanka Trump, doesn't she? Uncannily so. But again, this is how they sneak the stuff in. The French rejection. So that's what is it? Marianne, the goddess of the French Revolution, who had the breast exposed, and the god of cricket, and all this kind of thing that we see here. This is all unspontaneous, so to speak. And we see on the right here the image of Isis and Horus, or Hippocrates, Isis and Hippocrates, and the exposed nipple and so on. So this stuff is being seeded into the culture. This, you're going to hear a lot of people tell you, particularly normies, people in denial, that this is all just, random and happenstance. No, it's not. It absolutely is not. And believe me, I've been at this for a very long time, so I can speak with some authority about that, all right? Enter Hamish Hamilton. All right, so I believe that this guy sort of, it's very possible that you too recommended him. This is a very interesting guy who I've mentioned in the past, okay? And he has produced the halftime shows since 2010. So this will be his 14th year, okay? Let's talk about Hamish Hamilton for just a short moment, okay? This is one of the most important people that no one has heard of, okay? No one has heard of this guy, but I think people like us need to pay very close attention to what he does and who he does it with, all right? Hamish Hamilton is a British director. He has directed the Super Bowl halftime show annually since 2010. He has also directed the Academy Awards and the MTV Music Awards. Okay, all right. Do you see where I'm going with this? 2010 is probably a good, jumping on point for when all these rituals started to get extremely in your face. I mean, just think of the things that we've seen on the MTV, on the VMAs, and on the Academy Awards. I mean, the Academy Awards have been pumping this stuff out for quite some time. I mean, I was looking at what the Academy Awards were doing in the 90s, but this is somebody who is very much at the center of this mass ritualism, this international media ritualism. Anyhow, worked with music artists such as Mariah Carey, Eminem, Madonna, The Who, and U2. He has directed open and closing ceremonies for the London 2012 Olympic and Paralympic Games, as well as for Tokyo 2020. Okay, remember what we were talking about? I just said, what did I just say? Open air rituals, mass rituals. This is the guy. This is the one. This is, all that crazy, weird stuff that we saw in London. You're looking at him. Hamish Hamilton. There he is, okay? This is the guy who puts this stuff out into the world, all right? Very interesting first job. His first professional gig, was directing the video for Mike Oldfield's Tubular Bells 2. Tubular Bells, if you remember, was used in The Exorcist. So you see where we're going, right? You see what we're looking at here. Tubular Bells, yes. Mike Oldfield. Also, the Tubular Bells album was, I believe it was one of Virgin's first releases, and kind of put our old pal Richard Branson on the map. Isn't that interesting that Richard Branson made his Bones, right? International Bones, with the soundtrack to The Exorcist. What an interesting film. Exorcist, of course, written by William Peter Blatty, who was an officer in the United States Information Warfare Office in the 60s, okay? And did that horrible movie, The Ninth Configuration, which is very MK Ultra-ish, so to speak. Now, what was Hamish Hamilton's first long-form work? Oh, hey, look who it is. It's our old friend, Billy Connolly. Boy, what small circles these people all travel in. Yes, a Scot in the Arctic. Now, I don't know how many of you remember the Phrase Fest presentation. Comedian, actor, and national treasure Billy Connolly travels to the wilds of Arctic Canada to spend some quality time by himself with just his thoughts and camera for company. Yeah, his thoughts and a camera crew, right? And probably thousands of assistants and, gophers and so on. But how interesting. The national treasure, Billy Connolly. This was Hamish Hamilton's first big long-form piece, 1995. Yeah, that's when Samantha Morton started on Band of Gold. Isn't it? And 1995 was also when Elizabeth Fraser and Jeff Buckley split up right around this time as well. What an interesting little nexus here, right? All right, so the gentleman on the left is Mark Fisher, who was responsible for the Millennium Dome show, right? That was his baby, he and Peter Gabriel, right? Or as I like to call him, Bond villain, arch globalist Peter Gabriel. Hamish Hamilton, with his hair a bit shorter, is in the middle there. That woman, I think that's Roxanne Gay in the center there. I'm not sure who that fellow on the right is, but yeah, the late Mark Fisher, who was very much responsible for creating all these huge arena shows, starting with Pink Floyd The Wall. All right. So Mark Fisher and Hamish Hamilton were responsible for the opening and closing ceremonies of the 2012 Olympics, which have gotten no end of commentary from people in our little corner of the internet, has it, right? And there's the big NFLim baby, right? And the nurses and the useless eaters on the bottom there, getting ready to be phased out for the new race of giants. And oh boy, there's the new the angel of death with his giant syringe. Yes. These people are nothing but in your face. They don't hide their agenda. They just don't let you know that they're not hiding their agenda, right? So yeah, so look at that puppet there. Remember we just looked at those puppets a little bit earlier at the 2000 halftime show with Phil Collins. I think Enrique Iglesias and some other people performed there. It doesn't, whatever. I mean, a lot of people perform at these things. But the guy who puts on the halftime shows, including tomorrow night's halftime show, is the guy who brought this lovely imagery to the world. Isn't that comforting? Just absolutely wonderful, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Yeah, there we go. Now, those puppets, right? This is from the original production, 1980 production, Pink Floyd The Wall, produced by Mark Fisher, who brought us this, right? Along with Hamish Hamilton, right? And also the Millennium Dome show, right? Yeah, Gerald Scarfe. No, is it Scarfe or Steadman? Gerald Scarfe. I always get those two mixed up. Now, Gerald Scarfe and Ralph Steadman have very similar styles. Gerald Scarfe, I believe, did this stuff, and Ralph Steadman did all the stuff for Hunter S. Thompson, didn't he? Or with the Buffalo Roam and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, very grotesque. And there's the teacher, the Scottish teacher, right, and his wife, his fat psychopathic wife, who would beat him within inches of his life. How can you have your pudding if you don't eat your meat? You laddie, right? You remember that. Pink Floyd The Wall, 1982. Bob Geldof, another Bond villain, arch globalist, right? Another very sinister character, I might add, right? Bob Geldof. I mean, all these people, Bob Geldof, Bono, Peter Gabriel, Sting, they all rub elbows together, don't they? So just compare, these are the puppets again. So here's his 2000. And interestingly enough, I mean, neither Mark Fisher nor Hamish Hamilton were involved at this point in time, but it's clearly interests on the part of the people putting these shows on, aren't they, right? Now, more recently, some of you might have remembered me talking about this. Little Amal, who pretty much looks like these puppets here, doesn't she? This hideous, allegedly female puppet on the left there that they drag around to all these. I love this Cop 26. They're just telling you straight up, police state 26, right? I mean, they're telling you straight up what they're intending, right? Little Amal wouldn't happen to be from the Mount Hermon region, would they? And then, of course, on the right, also Scotland. I think this is in Ayrshire. Ayrshire. One of those cities in Scotland, and that is Storm. That character there is Storm, and this is all very dark, creepy stuff. These hideous giants that remind me very much of We Come in Peace that we talked about recently, that hideous monstrosity that they had on the roof of the Metropolitan Museum, okay? All right, so this is from Hamish Hamilton's wiki page, and you can just see who he's been involved with. The Beastie Boys, Rammstein, Melanie C, a.k.a. Sporty Spice, Spice Girls, Bryan Adams, U2, Madonna, Jay-Z, Robbie Williams, Nebworth. Remember we talked about Nebworth and the concerts at Nebworth? This is the guy who produced that one, right? Peter Gabriel growing up, Phil Collins, Madonna, Britney Spears, Eminem, Simply Red, Rammstein, again, Rolling Stones, Christina Aguilera, Neil Diamond, and The Who. So, gosh, I mean, a lot of these people have already performed at the halftime show. Not the Beastie Boys. U2, Madonna, Britney Spears, Eminem, U2, the Rolling Stones, Christina Aguilera. I mean, this is all just a nice, tight little circle of people here. All right, and Hamish Hamilton, again, a name that I think everyone should learn and remember. Seems to be very much at the center of many of these productions. Does anybody remember this? So this is on the right is the 2010 Super Bowl halftime show with The Who. They dragged The Who out of mothballs, right? But there was a huge to-do about it because of Mr. Townsend's apparent interest in naughty pictures, aren't they, right? Groups protest Pete Townsend's Super Bowl appearance over kitty business charge. That's from late 2009. It didn't affect the show went on, but we saw Bono with his creepy friends, and seems to be a through line with some of these people, doesn't it, right? And there's Who I can't believe are still going 41 years after their farewell tour. If you're old like me, you remember their farewell tour in 1982 when The Clash opened up for them. So, yes. So this is Hamish Hamilton's first shot out of the gate, okay? With these fellows here who he had worked with before. Now, in 2016, Pete Townsend's... this just makes me cringe so hard, I can't even tell you. Pete Townsend says... Kitty P 4A was research. Why, just admit that you're guilty. When you say that that's for research, I mean, nobody, who believes that? And insane. What he should have said was, I don't know, like just morbid curiosity. I heard all this stuff and I just, this research business is just That's, to me, is just an admission of guilt. That is just pure cringe. But you know what? These, when you have everything given to you your entire life, sometimes taboo violation is the only answer. Yeah, I don't know, Pete. I'm not sure I buy that one. Particularly in light of what we know about a lot of these rock stars, and also people like Billy Connolly, don't we? Don't we now? Fast for a genius, national treasure. So this is very interesting, though, because this is some of the symbolism we're going to be talking about. This is the Who's stage set. Very much a black sun motif here, as you can see here. These concentric rings and what look like rays, okay? And we see the rays in the center. And these chevrons, another motif that a lot of you are familiar with, radiating from the center of this, right? And then the green sun, the green sun associated with the god Ra. In ancient Egyptian mythology, Ra was not on the earth. He was the lord of a green sun, which is kind of interesting. But when you watch this stage set animated, it's pretty much in your face. So this is Hamish Hamilton again, who brought you the 2012 London Olympics, which not the Olympics themselves, but the open and closing ceremonies. This is the kind of imagery that he wants to show to the world, the black sun and the green sun with these concentric rings and so on, almost like a Stargate, let's just say. And of course, if you're talking about Ra, the movie Stargate, it all seems to tie in rather handily, does it not? Does it not? Madonna of the Flies, cult member, mafia. She's just telling you straight up what's going on. She's telling you straight up what time it is, right? And this is before, I guess, her arms got all disgusting and muscly and horrible. Yeah. There we go. Madonna, just an absolutely horrific human being, isn't she? Anybody here get that reference? Please tell me in the comments if you get that reference. Madonna of the Flies. Please tell me there's somebody out there that gets that joke. 2012. Hamish Hamilton. This is the same year that we see the London Olympics. So our man Hamish was a very busy boy, wasn't he? Very busy boy that year. And this is how the year kicks off with Madonna and this, God, I don't even know what that headpiece is. Is it an owl? Kind of looks like an owl to me. But then when you see it in profile, it kind of reminds me of those depictions of Anubis, right? And we see the sphinxes and the wings and this throne here. I mean, this is as subtle as a kick in the nuts, is it not? Is it not? So, there we go. There we go. Now, this all opens up with this little procession here. And we see these figures dragging in these winged, just wings, I guess, right? The wings, I guess, of the fallen angels who lose their wings, right? Need to be brought to the stage. And this very unsettling kind of imagery here, the slaves and so on, not particularly wholesome imagery at all. All right? Give me just a second here. All right. Now, and here's how it all plays out. If you've been with me for all these different live streams, I'm sure that this imagery here is none too unfamiliar. We see Madonna upon her throne with the wings. We've seen this wing imagery a number of different times, haven't we now? We've seen it with, for instance, a few years ago, Lady Gaga at the Grammy Awards, playing the piano with these wings I all I can say is that it seems pretty blatant to me what this is all about, what they're saying with this. And but this is also very militaristic, and it sort of reminds me of Roman Egyptomania, because we have this very militaristic presentation with all these sort of Romanized Egyptian motifs. And here she is with these people in sort of mock hoplite armor, right? And there's that headpiece again that, gosh, I just cannot tell for the life of me. I think that's an owl. It kind of looks like an owl, and those are the wings, right? And the horned creature on the right there reminds me of Thulsa Doom from the James Earl Jones character from the first Conan movie, right? Had that kind of look there. Very dark stuff here. Very dark stuff here. And all this black and gold, right? All the black and gold. And of course, the same kind of leather and latex fetishism that we saw all the way back with Janet Jackson's appearance, right? And then we have the angel and the harp. So we've got a bit of lyra action here, right? And there's Madonna there, and we have an archer. So this seems to me like a little bit of a star map here, because the archer is, reminds me of either Sagittarius or Sagitta. And the obviously the lyra is lyra. The angel with the lyre is lyra, right? I'm not exactly sure what Madonna would be in this little tableau here, but I'm not sure I care either, right? And then we had this interesting imagery here. So we see the, I guess this is supposed to be Madonna, but is it Madonna X, Madonna XO, Madonna Ox? I mean, what are we looking at here? What is this? What is this supposed to be telling us here? I'm just a little bit stumped. Is she an X-Men? Because here we go. There's the X-Men. It's like the circled X, right? And if any Freeman fans here, Freeman Fly, my brother from another Freeman Fly, has talked about the Circle X quite a bit. And I actually talked about the Circle X ages ago on the blog, right? But that little image there kind of reminds me of the Black Lodge ring, the signet ring, the Black Lodge signet ring from Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. Remember this? I guess that character's name is Mike, right? The one-armed guy, and he comes down and he's screaming at people in traffic and so on, and he's got the kind of similar. And I come to think of it, those kind of looks like Twin Peaks there as well. Very confused semiotics there, perhaps known only to Madonna and her handlers, right? Her she has just become a disgrace. 64-year-old woman trying desperately to appear 18 years old, like an 18-year-old nymphomaniac, is humiliating, to say the least. But anyway, there we go with that imagery. And then we see this kind of hellish flame imagery here. And again, that horned creature there on the right, and these various creatures here. And then we have MIA and Nicki Minaj come out and perform with Madonna and just make Madonna look just even older and sadder than she is or was. I mean, this is 11 years ago now. I mean, good Lord. But, we see a lot of this on the Super Bowls over the past few years, just like this hellish flames and smoke and all this kind of lighting, just very unsettling and creepy. All right. And of course, the winged sun disk. I guess this isn't too much of a leap, right? I mean, she's got all this sphinxes and all this Greco-Egyptian, Roman-Egyptian mania type of imagery. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised at the winged sun disk whatsoever, right? But there it is, right? Winged sun disk is pre-Egyptian, actually. It goes back all the way to Sumer. And there we go. So, yeah, I mean, this stuff is like just boring now. It's everywhere, right? But then, of course, we get the black sun imagery. But it also looks, like winged. Very strange imagery here. It reminds me of some sort of like orb, combination of a black sun and an orb, but also a winged demon, let's say. If you look in the center there, I mean, that would be the head, and then the wings, and almost like these kind of emanations of a halo there, right? Very dark and creepy. But, this is the new normal. This is the new normal now. This stuff is not even nobody blinks at this stuff anymore, do they? Not at all. And now just compare this black sun imagery here with the black sun imagery that we saw while the Who were playing. Okay. Both have the same, director, Hamish Hamilton. Maybe this means something to him. Maybe somebody should ask him one of these days. I don't know. And then, of course, we have this mock gospel choir performing like a prayer. If you look at the lights in the background, I guess this is meant to recall like a pyramid shape, but it reminds me, it looks very Masonic with square and compass there. Does it not? Radiating from Madonna's butt, let's just say. So this is extremely unsubtle symbolism that we're seeing here. And of course, note the preponderance of black and gold. Okay, so this is dark stuff. And of course, if you say anything about it, people will accuse you of satanic panic and so on. Whether or not you accuse these things of being satanic at all, we're dealing with weaponized midwits, okay? Radicalized, weaponized midwits. So, and then it all ends with world peace. Yeah, okay. I don't know how that follows on all the imagery that we saw, all this, this militaristic imagery and the black sun and the sphinxes and vague allusions to Anubis. It almost seems like a joke. It reminds me of that old episode of The Simpsons when they introduced Poochie on Ren and Stimpy, not Ren and Stimpy, on Itchy and Scratchy, right? And it's like at the end, it's like, remember to recycle, kids. It's just like this weird tack on that just doesn't make any sense in context of everything that they showed us, But this is part of the gaslighting. Sorcery, so sorcery, in my estimation, let me just sort of define sorcery. It's a combination of invocation, symbolism, semiotics, gaslighting, okay, provocation, and very often blood sacrifice, okay. Blood sacrifice is when you take it to the next level, which we're going to see in just a little bit. But this is very sorcerous to me. And this world peace just seems to be like it's this gaslighting at the end of the road there. BeyoncISIS and Coldplay. What the F? Who came up with that bill, right? This is the weirdest. Oh gosh, I don't even know. This 2016. This is kind of the start of the color revolution that we saw sort of culminate in 2020. So let's just take a look at this. So there's Beyonce flashing us some hand symbols, right? I don't know. Is she saying white power or something? I don't know. Maybe those symbols don't mean white power. Maybe that's just something stupid that people on Twitter say, particularly considering that we see people who, many of whom are not white, and flashing these hand symbols. This, if anybody can tell me what it means, is it 666 maybe? I've heard people interpret the OK sign as 666. Would not surprise me one bit. And of course we see this black and gold color scheme again. And there is the CBS eye, the all-seeing CBS eye, right? There we go. Now, talk about hands. So we see Beyonce with her, what is this, like 666 or something? I don't even know what that is. Maybe we should ask Jay-Z, right? And then we see, of course, Lady Gorgon with her horned cymbals there and her garish blood red outfit and makeup, right? I sometimes wonder if she's bald, because when I see like her hairline there, that looks like a wig to me. If anybody knows, please let me know. But she sang the national anthem and flashed the horns there, the Baphomet horns, I guess you would say. Wholesome family entertainment, folks. And then it was just absolute semiotic delirium here with Beyonce on stage with Coldplay doing the neo-hippie business here. And Bruno Mars too. Bruno Mars there in the center there, who gives me FTM vibes, by the way. But there's the lotus flowers. When we talked about the lotus flowers in connection with the abomination at the courthouse in Manhattan, right? So this whole thing was just, I don't know what they were trying to put together here. It was like Black Panthers meet Flower Child. It's just very strange and very confused. Yeah, so Beyonce's Super Bowl performance pays tribute to Black Panthers formation. Very militaristic kind of imagery there on the lower hand side. And what the song that they performed was called Formation, which in the English Sumerian system equals 666 or 111. I don't think 111 has any particular significance, but I find it very interesting that formation. I don't do gematria, by the way. I'm not a big gematria guy, but that sort of stuck out to me, that the song that Beyonce performed in this very strange and queasy Super Bowl has this title that spells out 666. And of course, on the left-hand side, we have Sasha Fierce, her dissociative alter ego, right? Maybe she was Sasha Fierce during this performance here. We've seen a lot of this with some of these stars. I mean, you remember what was Garth Brooks had Chris Hansen or something. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I even take it seriously, though. I think that this is a lot of LARPing on their behalf. But anyhow, Beyonce, Super Bowl, Black Panthers. So Black Panthers, and there she is with the triangulum imagery there. But the way that mic is placed, I don't know. Maybe there's another... what does that look like to you? I don't know. Looks a little weird. But she does love her hand symbols, doesn't she? She certainly does. And there's Lady Gorgon and Coldplay just looking completely out of place. And then they did the whole stadium up in these quasi-rainbow colors. I don't know. I believe in love. Love is love, which is a slogan that the MAP community has adopted, haven't they? The MAP community has adopted love is love. And actually, I got into an argument with one of my friends, and I said, love is love reminds me of the heart wants what the heart wants, which was the infamous quote by Woody Allen when it was discovered that he was having sex with his stepdaughter. So, believe in love. Love is love. There you go. There you go. Sort of rainbowish colors there. So again, this was a semiotic train wreck. All this flower child, this neo-hippie kind of imagery that Coldplay were serving up, and then the Black Panther imagery that Sasha Fierce was playing with. Now, this sacred geometry here on the left, this is from Coldplay's album, so we see this sort of rainbow, and we see, look at the Saturns too, so we have the rainbow and Saturn and the sacred geometry here. All sorts of very interesting symbolism thrown in. But something that Alan Abadusa, aka Alan Green, pointed out was the symbol that Coldplay was using was very highly reminiscent of the symbol in the Martian spaceship in Quatermass in the Pit that was described as being a Kabbalistic symbol, which it is not, but hey, it's a 60s science fiction movie. What can you do? But very interesting, especially since Quatermass in the Pit brings in the whole Mithraic connection into the game. So this is all just extremely confusing. I remember watching this and just thinking, like, what in God's name am I watching? And I think that was one of the worst Super Bowls I ever watched, too. I'm not sure. Yes. But what the rainbow in this context reminded me of is the rainbow from the Denver airport, right? It's very creepy and unsettling. Well, I guess this is beating swords into plowshares, right? And we see this Darth Vader character deposed. What is the messaging here? What is the messaging here? Of course, this is the late 90s, and maybe the rainbow wasn't quite as prevalent. Though I do remember in the 90s driving down the Cape, and it was like, seemed to be a battle of the flags where half the houses had rainbow flags and the other half had Irish flags, like shamrock flags in it. I don't know what was going on the Cape that year, but it was really something to behold. Well, let's get into Lady Gorgon herself. This is when we're going to start to get dark. Some of you might remember this. This is 2017, but maybe I can point out a few things that you might not have heard otherwise. All right? Oh, yes. Lady Gorgon, Miss Transgressive, because transgression is just so hip and now, right? It's just... we have this stultifying mainstream society that needs to be transgressed. And of course, there's Marina Abramovich. Oh my goodness. And her spirit cooking. Yes. The mock, maybe not so mock, cannibalism that Miss Abramovich loves to play with here. And the chap on the right there, the gray hair, I can't place him, but he looks very familiar. If anybody knows, please tell me. But yeah, so there's Lady Gorgon hanging out with her buddy Marina, who was her mentor at one point in time. And this disgusting, dehumanizing, quote-unquote, you've seen the photos of these little soirees that Mr. Abramovich puts on with all the cannibalistic imagery, which is just... I hope is not predictive programming, but the pessimist side of myself wonders that it may indeed be. All right. So this isn't my work here, but I just included this just to sort of a little bit of shorthand. So it starts off with Lady Gorgon on top, allegedly, of the stadium, and she's singing "This Land Is Your." This land is your land, the old Woody Guthrie song. And then the stars fall from heaven, which reminds me of Revelation 12. But anyway, this is not my work, but I'm just going to read this for you. Lady Gaga starts a performance dressed as an androgynous star child, which is true, who falls from heaven, a symbol of Lucifer's return. Yes, or the Watchers, right? Gaga then stands on top of one of two towers symbolizing both September 11th and the two Masonic pillars of Boaz and Jachin, a.k.a. Catherine Pollux. I think a little bit irritating to see how people don't pick up on that. But anyhow, which catch on fire, which they do. Later it gets dark. Fans swing lights, which in the world of the occult is known as the 1,000 points of light. Maybe. I don't know. I see all those kind of displays, which we see throughout all of these mega rituals, Super Bowl, Olympics. It seems to me to be orb adoration. Okay? Orb adoration. Towards the end, Gaga emerges from reddish smoke with pentagrams flashing, then proceeds to do a robotic dance on checkered floors with people that resemble fallen angels. All right. There we go. Yes, so here it is. The inverted pentagrams. Baphomet, Leviathan. Yes. We see them throughout the stage, and she is on these platforms, which I call the adoration on a pedestal, which is a very common theme in a lot of these types of presentations, the adoration on a pedestal, which is what we're seeing here, and the inverted pentagrams. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Now, this is something that a lot of people have not pointed out, is her little makeup or her little jewelry or prosthetics or what it is exactly. She has this thing about this motif called panda eyes. All right. Now I see her star child, quote unquote Lucifer, quote unquote Samjaza, Azazel, you name it. That makeup reminds me of this motif that she seems to be quite fond of, called panda eyes. All right. And we see her on the right wearing her panda eye makeup. Okay. Now, panda eyes. And then we see her again with the panda eyes when she's nominated for 3 Grammys. Now, I can't attest to any of this. This might be entirely apocryphal, but in light of all the other connections that we've seen already, I would not discount it. Panda eyes is pedo slang for child bad stuff. When a child is forcibly subjected to bad stuff, its eyes can welt to black circles due to the blunt trauma involved, making their eyes look like that of pandas. There's apparel selling online that says panda eyes on it for the pea community, as well as many peas joking about this online with each other, talking about kids, which I would suggest Lady Gaga, Lady Gorgon is doing as well. Okay, I don't need to read the rest of it because you sort of know all this, but there was a panda mask in James Alefantis's notorious Instagram feed. So this seems to be, here's the thing though. I mean, this might just all be sick jokes that these people are telling each other, but I'm not necessarily inclined to dismiss that as such. It could all just be sick jokes. People tell sick jokes to each other. But in light of all the other evidence, perhaps not. I'm not going to read the rest of it. This is disgusting. I don't want to read this stuff. It's going to make me feel bad. Just watch it in the replay if you want to read that entire thing. Or go. I took this from the Urban Dictionary, so if you just want to look at panda eyes at theurbandictionary.com, be my guest. But I don't like to dwell on this kind of nonsense, okay? So here's something very interesting. So I told you about the connection between Hamish Hamilton and Mark Fisher. They worked together on the 2012 London Olympics, which have received no shortage of commentary, right? But so the image on the left is Lady Gorgon, who's really just, if she wasn't a star, I mean, she's, she's kind of like a homely little girl, isn't she, in some ways. But the image on the right is from the Millennium Dome show. So all this wire work that we see, do you remember I've told you, maybe you didn't remember I told you, but back when I did the, I think I've mentioned in a number of presentations, that the Millennium Dome show is the beta testing for all the shit that we're seeing now, okay? Millennium Dome show is the beta testing for all the stuff that we see at the Super Bowls and the VMAs and the Grammys and blah, 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 the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, on and on and on. It's really, it all gets its start year 2000, Millennium Dome, right? So the dancer on the right, these kind of Cirque du Soleil type of dancers, wire dancers, that is actually from the Millennium Dome show, okay? So we see the same motif here. Now pay attention to that, because I don't believe in any way, shape, or form that this is coincidental, considering that we have somebody very closely connected to the producers of Millennium Dome show producing or directing these presentations here. On the left is the tower, within the tower at the Millennium Dome show. So what I said before is that there are actually two towers that we see in the Millennium Dome show. We see the Tower of Babel that is imploded, controlled demolition, right? And inside it is this other tower. Now look at the tower on the left and look at the tower on the right. The tower on the left is from the Millennium Dome show, and the tower on the right is from the Super Bowl. I think you see what I am talking about. Do you not? Do you not? Right? The same symbolism that we're seeing here. So we see that this is basically cribbing notes from the Millennium Dome show. And I think that when people analyze this Super Bowl appearance, that most of the people are not familiar with the Millennium Dome show, because very few people are, except for me and you, right? And I don't believe that this is coincidental, because as I've told you in the past, the text of the Millennium Dome show is very clearly the fallen angels, the watchers, and the daughters of men, and the new race of NFLim. So I don't believe that this is coincidental. I think this is just basically telling another version of the same story, filtered through Lady Gaga's satanic sensibility. And there are the two towers there. Again, reminds me of the sigil for Gemini, which I would also argue. Are they doing Born This Way? I think they're doing Born This Way here. And of course, Gemini is associated, Castor and Pollux were sort of gay gods for a while and so on. So, there you go. This kind of imagery is mainstream now. This, 20, 30 years ago, this would be in like theaters in Greenwich Village or Provincetown or San Francisco or something. London, Soho. Now it is all extremely mainstream, is it not? Right? Oh, and of course, who sponsored this? Intel. Pentium inside. Oh my goodness. Lady Gaga and Intel have won the Cannes Lion Award for their drone work at the Super Bowl halftime show. Well deserved. Well deserved. And that's the, the stars, the third of the angels, a third of the host, the 200 falling, being swept, the dragon's tail, sweeping them from the sky into the abyss of Tartarus, right? I am reasonably confident to tell you that that is the symbolism that we are looking at there. Oh, and here's the thing that always struck me. So this is 2017, is it not? This is February 2017. And she's atop the tower, right? The pedestal, the adoration on the pedestal, right? Poker face. Can't read my poker face. A mere 8 months later, almost exactly, we have the whole situation with Highway 91, Stephen Paddock, and the world of video poker, poker face. Yeah. Forgive me if I do not see this as being coincidental. Or maybe it is. Who knows? Who can say these days? Who can say anymore? Can we all be brothers? Yes. Poker face, video poker, Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas. Heaven in Las Vegas, which we're going to get to in just a short moments, right? So yeah, 2017, the next year. Justin Timberlake, Pink, and Crypto Sybil Invocation. I didn't want to get into this because we'd be here all night, but there is probably, because of Hamish Hamilton, there is a lot of little signaling, winks and nods of a sybil or a phrase-tastic type of nature. Okay, and we're going to see some of it here. Justin Timberlake returns after his disgraceful strip show with Janet Jackson some 14 years earlier. And here's a poster. I love this. This is a poster for the Super Bowl. Philadelphia Eagles versus the New England Patriots. Yeah, there we go. The pyramid, the keystone, the capstone. If you're not familiar with the term Vega, too, Vega means, it comes from the Arabic, meaning fallen eagle, falling eagle. So there's the eagles, the Vegas, the watchers, right? In some tellings, the watchers had bird heads, in some tellings they had snake heads, right? Depending on what you're reading. Now here's where it starts to get a little phrase-tastic. We see a lot of this pearl symbolism. So look at those pearls. These kids are all wearing these outfits with these pearls sewn into the sleeves. Their advertisements and so on with pearls and crystal balls and so on. And then we see a close-up of this chap's arm here. This chap on the new Atlantis Baphomets, who's got the pearl. He's got a pearl tattooed on his arm. So we see the pearls here, and then we see the pearl here. And then we see Pink singing the national anthem, looking uncannily. I think she's doing a cover of Elizabeth's hairdo. On the right, we see Elizabeth singing at what is it, the Royal Festival Hall during the Olympics, during the 2012 Olympics, by the way, that show that she sang at 2012 during the Olympics, and Pearl Pink. And look at the 8-pointed star earring that Pink is wearing, right? So there's our Ishtar yet again, Ishtar there on the left-hand side there. For some reason, somebody wanted her to look uncannily like Elizabeth Fraser did during the Meltdown Festival. Interestingly enough, the night before Elizabeth performed, Marina Abramovich performed at that very same festival. Isn't that fascinating? Justin Timberlake. So this was one of the worst halftime shows I've ever seen in my life. It was just a disgrace. He performed with a projection of Prince, who was supposed to be a hologram, but I guess they couldn't afford it. I don't know what's going on. Justin Timberlake, this was just before he appeared. Justin Timberlake's new video has Pharrell and an exploding Illuminati pyramid. He was putting up a lot of weird videos. He at this time, he put out this one video that sounds uncannily like early 80s Cabaret Voltaire. I don't know. Is that a thing? Are there a lot of Cabaret Voltaire fans in the circles that he travels in? But there's the pyramid. And this was all, more color revolution kind of preamble. This is 2018. They were really working the whole color revolution idea for a number of years before it all sort of explodes, right? But there you go. Justin Timberlake and his illuminist symbolism for you. Now, not a lot of people know this, and I hadn't realized this until much later. But so we know that Hallelujah has become a standard, right? But it's not because of Jeff Buckley per se. It's because that Justin Timberlake had performed it on some sort of telethon several years ago, and it became a big thing. So Hallelujah really Of course, the song, the Leonard Cohen recording from 1984, is much different than the later productions of it. It's sort of a synth pop little number. But the thing that I found very interesting is that the map on the right-hand side, the first dot that you see there is where Jeff Buckley died, drowned in the Wolf River Harbor, aka the Wolf River Lagoon, right, next to Mud Island, right? And then the next dot up is Fraser, Memphis. So, I mean, you probably remember all this stuff from all the siren stuff, the Jeff Buckley drowned just downstream from Fraser. But if we go all the way north, and I had, when I posted this, I had taken the town name out, but the little red arrow there, that is where Justin Timberlake was born and raised, just up the highway from where Jeff Buckley drowned. And of course, both of those men were very closely associated with Hallelujah. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. And again, I can't help but wonder how much of Hamish Hamilton's influence is being brought to bear here, considering all the stuff. You always look for the conduit, right? You always look for the player. There aren't a lot of players out there, as I've said before. Aren't a lot of people moving and shaking things. Most people are asleep. But people like Hamish Hamilton are moving the needle, aren't they not? And drawing upon some of the symbolism as kings and generals and priests have done for time immemorial, trying to receive the blessings of the Sibyls and the oracles and the Pythias. All right. I can't tell you how much I just to make myself laugh. I just, so much what I do, I just like to amuse myself because my life is sad. Maroon 5 and Travis Scott, Because We Are in Hell. This was another absolute train wreck, but also some very interesting symbolism, okay? I mean, Maroon 5, when's the last time they had a hit? I remember them on the radio like 2002, 2003. It seemed very late for them to be appearing at the Super Bowls. Sort of a throwback to when we'd have people like Tony Bennett at the Super Bowls, right? But there is Adam Levine, who has some rather excellent ink, I must say. I am not by any stretch of the imagination a fan of Adam Levine or Maroon 5, but I am a fan of those tats. And I'm not even a fan of tats. I don't even like tattoos, but that is some outstanding craftsmanship. But of course, we see the all-seeing eye and so on. I believe a lot of this imagery is taken from fortune-telling cards. My wife was collecting those old fortune-telling card decks for quite a while, and I believe all this imagery that he has tattooed is taken from those decks. Okay. And he's playing his pink Ibanez there, which is, this was just so awful. Again, I've never been a fan of this guy or this band, but this was just really, really insanely terrible. But, oh my goodness, what do we have on Mr. Levine's back? We have the siren. Yes, and her trophy, right? The skull of the unfortunate sailor. Who is lured by the siren song. That is some really enviable craftsmanship. I really have to say, again, I'm not a big fan of tats, but that is outstanding work. Absolutely outstanding work. But whenever I see men with tattoos that are that elaborate, it kind of makes me wonder, whose benefit is that for, because I just think, is that like a tramp stamp? I don't know. But we see the rose at the bottom, and I'm not going to go into what that makes me think of at all. Anyhow, Mr. Levine, outstanding tattoo work. So it wasn't bad enough that we had to sit through Maroon 5. Who do we have next? Oh, okay. I hope you all remember the Lucifer's technologies when I talked about the great gods of Samothrace, the Kabiri or the Dactyls. Some might even call them the we're not going to go into that. But the Kabiri and the Dactyls, the great gods of Samothrace, who, like the legendary aliens, green aliens, came to Earth on a flaming meteor. And we see this now. Who is coming to make our lives even more unbearable in this flaming meteor? Let's take a look. Oh, a little bit out of order. This is at approaching Earth. Oh my goodness. Crashing down. It kind of reminds me of Superman in the old comics, right? Coming to from Krypton in his little rocket, his little baby rocket. There he is about to land in the stadium, the football stadium. And Travis Scott. So there's more of our hellish imagery, the flames and the red and the black, and Travis Scott. So just in case you weren't excruciatingly tortured enough by having to listen to Maroon 5, now you have to listen to Travis Scott. And I can't decide personally which is worse. I cannot decide personally which is worse. But you might remember Mr. Scott and his NFLim. LARP. What is this? This is Minecraft or Fortnite. I don't play any of these games, so I don't know what this is. It's one of the two. And of course, the giant orbs. So we see the orbs, right? And that's got the all-seeing eye there. And there's the NFLim. So that's the Watchers and their offspring. So maybe this is more fallen angel. Why do we have to have all these people fall into these stadiums? Ask yourself that. Do you think it might be a Watcher cult? Very interesting. See, because Satan falls to the earth in a bolt of lightning. Now, just as an aside, let me just throw this out here. I was thinking about this whole shift, and I think I might have mentioned in a comment on the Patreon. But I was wondering if, like, this whole shift from combustion to electric is Christ in the Bible is the God of consuming fire, right? He's a God of fire, and Satan in the Gospels falls to earth like lightning. So combustion, electricity, consuming fire. You see where I'm getting at here? Yeah, don't put it past these people. Don't put it past. I know that sounds a little strange, but what are you going to do? So yeah, some more Watcher. And of course, we're not surprised with Travis Scott because we have this guy's number. We know what this guy's all about. We know that he's all about the Watchers and all this kind of stuff. The Weeknd, Crypto, Fraserian, Hierophant. The thing, so I've always wondered, like, why do we see all these, or hear a lot of these sort of very heavily Cocteau Twin influenced records by people like Beyonce and Katy Perry and so on. And I would argue that it's probably the Weeknd's influence because he gets involved with other art. He does a lot of production work and so on. He did a lot of production work with Beyonce, so he might have. There's that one song. What is it? Love Cry. There's one of those songs, Beyonce songs. She did it during her whole ISIS adoration of ISIS ritual during the Grammys. Help me out here. But it just sounds like she's just trying to do the Cocteau Twins. But I would argue that it might be the Weeknd doing that. So this, it starts off with the Weeknd and all this Las Vegas symbolism. So there's a Vegas, falling eagles. Is it heaven or Las Vegas? Is it heaven or Las Vegas? Is it the heavenly host of Michael and the archangels, or is it the Vegas, the fallen ones? You tell me. I don't know. Is it heaven or Las Vegas? I guess with the Weeknd, it's the latter. So there we go. And this is heaven or Las Vegas, the best of the Weeknd. Yes. So very serious Fraserian, our friend the Weeknd is. Okay, so we won't dwell on that because I think you probably know all about that by now. And there he is falling. So yes, some more falling symbolism. So this is the third one we've seen in a row, right? We had Lady Gorgon, and then we had Travis NFLim, and now we have the Weeknd falling into Raymond James Stadium. Yes, falling, descending. Right? What did Alice Bailey say? The sacrificial ones, the sacrificial watchers, coming to bring us heavenly enlightenment, right? And then we have all this depersonalized kind of Hall of Mirrors, funhouse symbolism here. And I wonder if this is a little bit of a satirical commentary, because this is in the height of mask mania, right? This is, 2021, right? And these depersonalized dances here. But look at the color schemes again, okay? Now, we keep seeing like red, gold, and black over and over and over and over and over again, don't we? And here it is, red, gold, and black. I don't know. Is there some sort of like Kabbalistic meaning to all this? But we just continuously see it. I mean, we've seen it in this presentation since the Janet Jackson performance, didn't we? So seems to be a bit of a through line here, red and black and gold. And then imagine, an old punk rocker like me from way back in the day, old man, listening to Susie and the Banshees when I was 13, right? And we see this giant Super Bowl presentation, dance presentation to the tune of Happy House, the Susie and the Banshees song Happy House. Very, very interesting. And of course, our Blessed Lady Elizabeth had Susie and the Banshees tattoos that she had lasered off. She gave herself Susie and the Banshees tattoos, by the way, that she had lasered off. So how interesting to see Susie there. I was hoping that he would be a little more explicit with the Elizabeth stuff, but maybe it was nixed by the demonic producers of these presentations. Now, here's the interesting thing. So the 2021 halftime show is executive produced by Dave Meyers, Jess E. Collins, Jay-Z. Ooh, Jay-Z again. And Rock Nation, who also served as the creative directors. It was directed by Hamish Hamilton. Ooh, there he is again. As has every Super Bowl halftime show since 2010 with The Who, Pete Townsend. I was doing research, Pete Townsend, right? The Weeknd's band was directed by experimental musician Oneohtrix Point Never. Okay, Oneohtrix Point Never. Now, let's see. 7 months later, we got this little surprise where Oneohtrix Point Never duets with Elizabeth Fraser on Tales from the Trash Stratum, which is a reference to Philip K. Dick and how the divine would emerge from the trash stratum. Just another one of the countless prophecy fulfillments Elizabeth fulfilled of Philip K. Dick's Sybil prophecies. Okay, I, the Sybil. We might have to do an entire presentation on that if you're not Elizabeth Doubt. But so there's our connection now. So I was wondering, when are we going to get this explicit connection? I guess we had to wait a few months. Now, the day this song came out was also the day of the Met Gala. Yeah, very interesting. So this performance here is Elizabeth at her most extremely alien, or maybe singing to exotic birds in their native language, but there's our connection. Yes, so there's the crypto-Fraserianism. Yes, indeed. All right, so the most recent one until tomorrow night, a few hours from now. 90s hip-hop has-beens. That was the theme for the 2022 Super Bowl halftime. All right. I didn't even bother to watch it because that's not my jam. But I did. Well, actually, that's true. I did watch the presentation on YouTube, and I was disappointed by the rather lackluster use of symbolism. But that said, we're going to see this motif yet again for the fourth time, falling to the earth. And in this it's not a meteor or a burning rock. It's a burning Pepsi logo. So Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, Mary J. Blige, Kendrick Lamar, and 50 Cent. And everybody had, 50 Cent's whole thing is he's just like super buff. And he got a little puffy. Eminem, I find to be an embarrassment these days. He's just been so completely cucked. Everybody loves Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is America's sweetheart. How can you not love Snoop Dogg, right? One of those things. But the rest of it, forget it. It's just not my thing. But anyhow, there is the Pepsi challenge. The NFLim, the orbs again. We see a lot of orbs in these Super Bowl presentations. So the orbs again, and remember we talked about Madison Square and the whiteout orb adoration display that was quite creepy. So who is coming to Earth in these orbs? It's the performers, and then we see Dre here. He is the hand of God. He is the hand. Look at the reflection. There is the streets, the street lights, the city street lights, and Dre is like God, lording over them all, isn't he not? There's some interesting things about Dre that, and Jimmy Iovine for that matter, that I was going to bring up, but we've got miles to go before we sleep, so I will pass on that. But still very interesting symbolism again. The falling, the NFLim, the great gods of Samothrace, the Kabiri, right? All the same kind of motif here. The knowledge coming from the flaming chariots from the stars, yes, coming down to us. The watchers falling from heaven in flames, coming to us as orbs, sentient orbs. Okay? And there's that. All right. We've been at this for 2 hours now. I want everybody to take a break. Just a little bit of a break. Have a drink. If you have to use the little boys or girls room, do so now. Because this is the centerpiece of our presentation, and this is gonna freak a lot of people out. Some of people out there might be familiar with it. Some of these things I have talked about before on the blog. Most recently, a couple of years ago, during the bizarre and disturbing inauguration. Right? Do you remember that, when the entire city had become a police state, and they put on this inauguration that had no audience? Do you remember that? That was all very weird. But anyhow, how are we all doing here? I'm just going to wander into the chat because we need to brace ourselves for what we're going to be going through next. Let's just do some deep breathing. Doing some breathing out there. Everybody oxygenating, getting your cells reoxygenated. Get those red blood cells circulating. Just, it's good for the brain. It's good for the heart. It's good for the brain. Just get, just do a little bit of relaxation. Just relax all your muscles. Just breathe in, breathe out. Are you ready? You guys ready? All right. A feature presentation. Jaws will drop and faces will melt. All right. Jaws will drop and faces will melt. Jaws will drop and faces will melt. This is, we're going to talk about one of the most, what is the word I even want to use here? Nightmarish, hellish, horrific. If I'm not going to say anything, but if you want to see this as one of the most horrific acts of mass witchcraft working in your knowledge, in your memory, I will not hold that against you. Okay? I'm not going to judge you. I'm not here to judge. All right? If you want to see it that way, if you want to look at what we're going to talk about now in that context, I'm not here to judge. I will not judge you. Let's talk about jaws dropping and faces melting. This is the 2015 Super Bowl, sponsored by Pepsi. Okay? This very strange UFO abduction motif that we see prior to the show. This is how it all starts off now, with a Pepsi truck being abducted by aliens and so on. We see all this kind of motif with the Pepsi commercials. The Pepsi Challenge. The Pepsi Challenge. Here we go. The Pepsi generation. Right? We're going to look at what the Pepsi generation has wrought upon this earth. Ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness. Miss Perry. Katy Perry. Katy Refrigerator Perry comes in to the stadium to the tune of Roar atop a hideous golden idol with glowing demonic eyes, wearing a flaming, please note what's going on here. She's wearing this flaming dress, right? It looks like decals from an old Camaro or something, right? It has that kind of stylization, or maybe an old surfboard or skateboard. She is the woman in flames atop the golden beast with the ruby red eyes. This is as dark as it gets. But what we're seeing here is we're seeing these lights meant to symbolize stars. So what we are clearly looking at here is stellar symbolism, ladies and gentlemen. Stellar symbolism, okay? Let's take a look at what exactly that stellar symbolism is here. But please pay attention to those flames and the fact that she's singing the song Roar, which is why she's atop this giant golden. So there's the black, gold, and red again, again, and again, and again, and again. There it is, okay? Katesh, right? Riding the lion, right? Mystery Babylon the Great, and her cup of abominations, her cup of filth and adulteries, right? Atop the beast, okay? Same thing with Miss Perry here. What we are seeing here, and if you watched my presentation from the Astronosis conference. This is Coma Berenice atop Leo. Okay, so Coma Berenice was once depicted as Isis nursing Osiris, which we saw with Janet Jackson, kind of coming full circle, and later just became a wig. So the story is that Coma Berenice, Coma means hair or head. Berenice was a queen, a Ptolemaic queen, who offered her hair to Aphrodite if Aphrodite would protect her husband in battle. Okay? And that was seen to be a very whorish thing to do, certainly by the people who wrote Book of Revelation. Okay? And that's why it became associated. But that is the queen, the whore who sits astride the beast near many waters. Okay? Coma Berenice and Leo, the many waters being Hydra, which is basically what Hydra means, the many waters, right? So I don't think that Katy Perry, and so this is a nice Christian pop star girl who has fallen as far as she possibly can fall at this point, right? There she is playing Mystery Babylon the Great. Yes, there she is. But please note the flames, the flames. And, of course, the checkerboard. So just in case we're under any illusions as to what we're witnessing here. And then the chess pieces and so on. Yeah, there we go. There we go. But, that just goes without saying, right? But look at this strange pose here. Katy Perry singing California Girls with these two sharks. Please pay attention to the two sharks. So we had her entering the stadium in flames. And now she's dancing with these two sharks. What could this be leading to? What could this be leading to? And why is she and these two sharks giving Nazi salutes? What is going on here? Why are they doing this? What is happening here? Why is Katy Perry and these two sharks giving Nazi salutes? After she came in as the whore of Babylon in flames. Fallen is Babylon the Great. Right? The smoke of her burning. The smoke of her burning. And then we see Katy Perry and these Nazi sharks. What is going on here? What is happening here? Well, she caps off the show. Lenny Kravitz shows up, but whatever. It's not really important to our story because Lenny Kravitz helps her perform I Kissed a Girl, and I liked it. Yes. And now Katy is a shooting star. So more of the stellar. See, this is all based in stellar symbolism. So I told you that when she enters as Mystery Babylon the Great, that is Coma Berenice, astride the beast, Leo, right? And the conjunction of Leo and Ursa? Leo minor, Ursa. We won't get into that. When we do our big revelation thing, we'll get into that. But go back and watch my Astronosis presentation if you're a little confused about that. But so this is clearly symbolism, stellar symbolism. Her dress here is covered in stars. We see these shooting stars. She's a firework, shooting stars just riding all across the stadium. So this is almost like the inverse. So we saw all these flaming stars fall to the stadium, but now she's rising. Do you see what I'm getting at here? This seems to be a very long-term ritual presentation here, at least in my estimation. But I'm crazy, so who am I to say anything? So there we go. We saw the falling stars a number of times, but this is the rising star. Here we go. So, what happened? What did this all result in? This was a big deal. Everybody was talking about it. The Mystery Babylon the Great, Whore of Babylon, that symbolism was as plain as the nose in your face. But what was this all leading to? And what's up with those Nazi sharks? And of course, we see the orbs again, over and over again, right? The orbs show up in other Super Bowl presentations. Don't have time to go into it. We're already at midnight here, and we still got a long ways to go. But anyhow, Katy Perry, the shooting star, firework. Baby, you're a firework. Baby, you're a firework. Flames. She comes in and she's in flames. The smoke of her burning. The smoke of her burning, right? Stellar, stars, orbs. Right? Are these the archons? Are these the planets? Or are these what these ultra-terrestrials really are? We seem to see them as these intelligent orbs, these, almost like these constructions of plasma, as Andrew Collins would say, right? What's going on here? So this is how it all ends. Baby, you're a firework. Well, that quote at the beginning, what was I referring to? Katy Perry on Super Bowl halftime show, jaws will drop and faces will melt. Jaws will drop and faces will melt. Pop star says performances will include lions and sharks. Missy Elliott shows up. Get your freak on. Missy be putting it down on a high round. Get your freak on, get your freak on. I love that album by, what is it, Miss E, something like that. Anyhow, Katy Perry, jaws will drop and faces will melt. Oh, Missy Elliott and I have the same birthday too, by the way. Anyhow, yes, what is this? What's going on here? What is this? That's very strange symbolism. What is she referring to? It was quite a show, but did jaws drop and faces melt? My face didn't melt. Whose face melted? 2 days later, Valhalla, New York, at the Gates of Heaven Cemetery. One of the worst train disasters of recent times. Actually, the worst train disaster in Metro North history. If you're not from New York, you probably don't know what Metro North is. Metro North runs from, Penn Station and Grand Central, I think all the way up to Connecticut, right? So this is 2 days afterwards in Valhalla. And guess what happened? Jaws dropped and faces melted. 2 days later, right? Well, what does that mean? Well, what's the connection? There's no connection, right? There can't possibly be any connection. What's the connection here? Halfway across the country up in New York, Valhalla, a cemetery in Valhalla, right? Or what's the connection? What could the connection possibly be to the Super Bowl when the jaws dropped and the faces melted? There is the crash site, Valhalla. Gates of Heaven Cemetery. Heaven's Gate, the Stargate. The Stargate, right? The vortex. Gates of Heaven, Heaven's Gate, Marshall Applewhite. Crash site. Right there it is. Metro North. Valhalla. Valhalla. You know about that, right? Viking land of the dead. Gates of Heaven Cemetery. What is going on here? Why am I talking about this? This has no connection. Katy Perry's real name is Katie Hudson. Well, guess what? Valhalla is not too far a trip from the Hudson River. Getting a little more interesting. What's going on here? What is the symbolism at work here? Valhalla, Katie Hudson. This is back when she was doing her Christian contemporary music, so to speak. So this rather horrific episode when jaws dropped and faces melted. Well, let's get a little deeper into the rabbit hole, shall we? Dental records used to identify victims of New York suburban train crash. Some of the 6 victims so badly burned that only dental records could identify them. All right, so six people died. Many people were injured. 6 people died horribly, incinerated during this horrific episode. 6 of them were burned so badly that only dental records could identify them. Why? Because their faces melted. Their faces melted. Valhalla, Hudson, Katie Hudson. Let's go a little further here. Again, dental records being used to identify the victims. There is the train. Horrific episode here. The crash was blamed on this woman, Ellen Brody, age 49. Ellen Brody has been named as the woman who caused the Metro North train crash in Valhalla, New York on February the 3rd, 2 days after Katie Hudson appeared at the Super Bowl. So far, 6 people, including the woman, have been killed. Scores more were injured during the incident. She was 49 years old. 2 days after Super Bowl 49. Interesting. 49-year-old woman, Ellen Brody, 2 days after the Super Bowl, was incinerated, burnt alive. Horrific death. Horrific death. Ellen Schaefer Brody, 49 of Edgemont. Katy Perry performed at Super Bowl 49. Lieber 49. Our old friend Jack Parsons, Marvel Parsons, right? Ellen Schaefer Brody, age 49, worked in Chappaqua. That sounds vaguely familiar. What about Chappaqua? I've driven through Chappaqua when going up to visit my folks. You don't see much from the from the highway, but whatever. This is really interesting. This woman was 49. The train was traveling at 49 miles per hour when it struck this woman's car. Katy Perry performed at Super Bowl 49. 49. Libra 49. What's going on here? Oh, of course, Jack Parsons suffered not dissimilar death to these people just horribly burned alive during this episode here. So let me just read you a bit of this story, if you can handle this. There had been significant traffic around the crossing where the crash happened in Valhalla, at the gates of heaven, Heaven's Gate, the portal to heaven in Las Vegas. The New York Times noted it didn't look like the woman was trying to beat the train at the crossing. It's likely she had become confused for some reason. For some reason, she'd become confused, perhaps not realizing what side of the barrier she was on. Ellen Brody. A witness said it looks like where she stopped, she did not want to go onto the tracks, but the proximity of the gate, Heaven's Gate, to her car, it was dark. Maybe she didn't know she was in front of the gate. This woman was very confused. She couldn't tell where she was. The SUV was right in the middle of the track and was hit directly in the middle of the car by the train. The car was sent flying about 400 feet down the track by the train, traveling 49 miles an hour. 49-year-old woman, Super Bowl 49. It's believed that after she stopped on the track, she had gotten out of her car to check on the damage on the back of her vehicle. The New York Post reported that the train's conductor, an Air Force veteran, who had been working for Metro North for only 9 months. Air Force veteran, been working for Metro North for only 9 months. Slammed on the brakes as soon as he saw Ellen Brody, age 49's car. This is the late Ellen Brody with her daughter, whose face is obscured. This is Ellen Brody. Suffered this horrific death at the gates of heaven in Valhalla. Continuing, the crossing gates descended, warning lights began flashing, and according to a witness, this character named Hope, bells began ringing. The witness said Brody's SUV was in front of the gate as it descended, but not on the tracks. The crossing gate struck the top of Brody's SUV before sliding down its rear and becoming stuck. So some sort of malfunction here. Some sort of malfunction of this equipment. Wouldn't you say? Oh, and by the way, she wasn't even supposed to be going this way. The traffic was diverted She didn't go this way. Traffic was diverted through the cemetery. For some reason, there was something going on the Taconic Parkway. This woman returned to her car and paused briefly. The car moved forward 30 seconds after the gate had come down on her car, immobilizing her. Her Mercedes ML 350 completely blocked the tracks when the train was one car length away. The train struck the SUV on its passenger side, going 49 miles an hour. There was a terrible crunching sound, and just like that, the car was gone. Disappeared. It happened instantly. There's no way she could have known what hit her. In the train's front car, Chris Gross was suddenly thrown out of his seat. I heard a loud bang and a lot of screaming, he recalled. Flames were within a foot of his face. But his face didn't melt. His face didn't melt. Lucky man. Unfortunately, 6 other people's faces melted so badly that they had to identify them by their dental records. Another passenger got the emergency exit open and pulled him out before his face melted because the flames were within a foot of his face. Flames were within a foot of his face. His face was about to melt. I bet his jaw dropped when this Good Samaritan pulled him out. Alan Brody, does that name sound familiar to you? Well, it should, because it's the name of the police chief's wife in Jaws. What an amazing coincidence. Alan Brody, age 49, Super Bowl 49. Ellen Brody, played by Lorraine Gary, played the wife of Roy Scheider, Jaws, Steven Spielberg. First big modern blockbuster, Jaws. Jaws will drop and faces will melt. Jaws will drop and faces will melt. And gosh, there's those Nazi sharks again, dancing with Miss Perry. What is going on here? Jaws will drop. Ellen Brody, what an amazing coincidence. So traffic was diverted, and Miss Brody, or Mrs. Brody here, was not supposed to be driving through the cemetery. She was supposed to be going another way. She was going to visit a friend at Starbucks of all places. Starbucks, the siren. But she got diverted through this cemetery. The gate came down on her car and she was confused. This woman was very confused. She was very disoriented. She didn't know what was happening. She didn't know which side of the gate she was on. Ellen Brody. Jaws will drop. Faces will melt. What's going on here, Feet? What's going on here? Tell me. Speak to me. There are those sharks again. There's Katie with those sharks. Jaws. Jaws will drop. Faces will melt. Baby, you're a firework. Baby, you're a firework. Flames. Smoke of her burning. The smoke of her burning. Valhalla. Gates of heaven. Stargate. The Stargate. Now, it just gets even stranger. So there's Miss Perry and Missy, the black and the gold, of course, right? Number 49, 49-year-old Ellen Brody, killed by a train that was traveling 49 miles per hour. The car that hit her, the train car that hit her SUV was 4333, in other words, 49. And 5 men, all men, were killed on that train car. Their faces melted, and they had to be identified by their dental records. So we see the 5 stars on that train car, and the 49, and the 49, and the 49, and the 49. So 2 nights before is Miss Perry, Baby, you're a firework. Baby, you are a firework. And unfortunately, on the right, 49-year-old Ellen Brody, who just happened to share the same name as a character in the movie Jaws, that is horrific. That woman died a horrific, horrific death, as did 5 other people. Okay? Let's look at the lyrics for the grand finale to Miss Perry's performance at Super Bowl 49. Do you ever feel already buried deep, 6 feet under scream, buried deep, 6 feet under, gates of heaven, cemetery in Valhalla, buried deep, 6 feet under scream? Because there's a spark in you. You've just got to ignite the light and let it shine. Just own the night like the 4th of July, because baby, you're a firework. Now, Ellen Brody, who just happens to share the same name as the character, one of the main characters in the movie Jaws. Ellen, the name Ellen means torch or light. Baby, you're a firework. Baby, you are a firework. Buried deep, 6 foot under scream. Ellen Brody, diverted to the gates of heaven, 6 feet under, cemetery, right? 6 feet under, buried deep, diverted because of some activity on the Taconic Parkway. And just happened to have this military veteran at the wheel of the train. Baby, you're a firework. Ellen, torch, light, torchlight. What's going on here? What is this about? What is this? I think this is the next day. This was a little unsettling. A train hit a truck in Braintree, Massachusetts, of all places, right? Because where else would it hit, right? And actually hit the train. The train hit the truck on Commerce Street, which is the same name of the street that Miss Brody was struck by a train. Unfortunately, she did not fare as well as the driver of this truck. Baby, you're a firework. Ellen Brody, Jaws. Jaws will drop. Faces will melt. Faces will melt. Jaws will drop. Ellen Brody, age 49. Faces will melt. Hillary Clinton, 70 days later, 10 weeks later, announces she's running for president. I don't know if I don't know why I even included that. That's 10 weeks later, exactly 10 weeks later, after this horrific accident not far from where the Clintons live to this day, in Chappaqua. This horrific accident not far from where Hillary Clinton lives. 10 weeks later, she announces she's running for president. Well, here's the connection. NBC New York reports that Ellen Brody, age 49, worked at a jewelry store, ICD Contemporary Jewelry, in Chappaqua, New York. ICD stands for Israeli Contemporary Designs. Remember those Nazi sharks? On the store's website, it touts Bill and Hillary Clinton among their regular customers. So this woman worked for the Clintons' private jeweler, Ellen Brody, age 49. 49 miles an hour she was struck. Her name means light or torch. She was burned to death horrifically. Horrific death, as were several other people. The owner of the store, Virginia Shasha, described Brody as a wonderful, wonderful person. She looked for the best in everyone. She added that her friend was a very careful driver who just happened to be diverted this fateful night into the gates of heaven cemetery in Valhalla She was on her way back home from her job in Chappaqua, a store that acted as the Clintons' private jeweler. 10 weeks later, 70 days later, Hillary Clinton of Chappaqua, New York, announces she's running for president. Now, I'm not exactly sure the significance of 70 days, and I don't know why there would be one, because this is all just complete and pure coincidence, but apparently Joseph, in the Bible, Joseph mourns for Jacob, a.k.a. Israel, J.K. Rowling, right? Jacob, a.k.a. Israel, for 70 days, Joseph, the amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, right? So Israeli, Ellen Brody, Jaws, Israeli contemporary design, mourning for Jacob, a.k.a. Israel, for 70 days. 70 days later, this woman runs for president. I wonder if she sent Brody's family condolences, flowers or something. I mean, she knew this woman, right? And there's Katie Hudson River, Valhalla, Westchester, on stage with Hillary. Oh, it kind of looks like she's doing it's another Nazi salute, right? And Bill, looking frail and weak as he has been since he became a vegan. And that hideous-looking black bird there. And Katy Perry wearing this turban. Kind of looks like a genie or something. Looking none too happy, does she? She looks mildly mind-controlled. And there's Hillary with her Roman salute, as they call it. Watch Katy Perry sing Rise and Roar for Hillary Clinton at the DNC. So the same song that she sang at the Super Bowl 49, 2 days before Ellen Brody, jaws will drop and faces will melt, was incinerated in Valhalla. Katy Perry sings that same song where she is riding the beast of Revelation, like Mystery Babylon the Great, drunk on the blood of saints and the filth of her abominations and fornications. Almost exactly 3 years later, exact same location. Person is dead after being hit by a train in Valhalla. Commerce Street is the same area where the deadliest train accident in Metro North history occurred. In February 2015, Ellen Brody of Irvington, I was somewhere else, I thought, stopped her SUV on the tracks, causing a fiery collision with a commuter train. 6 people, including Brody, were killed, while 15 others were injured. I wonder if their faces melted. I'm sure their jaws dropped. Ellen Brody was not supposed to be there. She was not supposed to be taking this route, but she was diverted from the Taconic Parkway. She was on her way home from Chappaqua, where she worked as the Clintons' private jeweler. Jaws will drop. Faces will melt. And, of course, Miss Perry sang Firework again in front of fireworks, in front of the sacred phallus of Osiris or Baal or whomever. Right? What is it? Does it even matter at this point? Baby, you're a firework at that weird and disturbing fake inauguration with no audience, purely for the TV cameras. You with me? Who's with me? Who understands? Who understands this? I don't understand. Maybe you can explain it to me. I don't understand it at all. I mean, this just all seems like just, I don't know, just random happenstance. This woman who has the same name as a main character in Jaws, who was associated with the Clintons, found herself driving through Valhalla and found herself being incinerated alive, burnt to death in her car. Faces will melt, jaws will drop, and faces will melt. This is the world you live in. This is the way the world really is. All right. These are people who people defend to the death, vote for mindlessly. Do you remember the wing? There was those covens. Hillary Clinton was going to appear. I think that whole operation closed down pretty quickly. But these covens that popped up, 2017, I believe. Hillary just happened to hang out in covens, wings. We talked about the wings in Madonna's presentation and in Lady Gaga's performance, Grammys a couple years ago. Faces will melt. Commerce is the Katie Hudson. Our mutual friend Gordon White says that she is like the most completely mind control celebrity in the world. I'm not inclined. I think she's getting out, though. I think she's going to escape. I think she's going to get out with her hide intact. I hope. Here's Brody. Burned to death. Incinerated 2 days after. Super Bowl 49. Age 49. Oh gosh, I just realized she was my age. I was 49. Well, I turned 49 that year. 6 feet under scream. Cemetery. Gates of heaven. Stargate. Spark in you. You just got to ignite the light. Ellen, torchlight. So that year, the past 20 years, we've talked about the Super Bowls of the past 20 years, starting with the Sorcerer's Apprentice, right? Of course, the dominant team, I think they played 11 Super Bowls, won 5, is the New Atlantis Baphomets, a.k.a. the New England Patriots. Of course, I'm from Boston, so I've got a little blind spot here. I do not follow football anymore, though. I haven't followed football for a very long time. But my kids are all huge Patriots fans. But anyhow, so there are their rings, 6 championships. Okay. They did not win. They did not win that year. They won 2001, 2003, 2004, 2014, 2016, 2018. Okay. And you've probably seen this. So the Patriots that I grew up with are the old Minuteman and the 3-point stance. And they designed it, they redesigned to this hideous looking thing, which oddly enough reminds me a bit of Baphomet, right? The 2 horns there. the star in the middle of the forehead, right? The ears. Yes, that's why I call them the new Atlantis Baphomets. The GOAT, Tom Brady, Twin Brady. Now, what about twin? So, this guy, greatest of all time. This guy wasn't. He was like almost last in his draft pick, right? Won all these. Took his team to the Super Bowl any number of times. Won 6 times, which I think is a record at this point, right? Interesting detail about Mr. Brady: his former wife, or his estranged wife, Gisele Bündchen, is a witch. Tom Brady says his wife is a good witch and her rituals help him win. That was a big story. Well, what are these rituals? What are these rituals? See, this is how the world works. The rituals. And of course, they get estranged. Well, first of all, he leaves the New Atlantis Baphomets for the Templar Bay Buccaneers, but and then he wins again. I think he's the most winning quarterback of all time now. How much of that was thanks to Miss Bündchen, who was casting spells and performing rituals? Do you see why I call this Super Bowl sorcery? So just a little bit of cleanup. This is sort of like, this is the wind down. Just a couple themes that I noticed recurring. We talked about some of the fallen, the fallen angel. Dehumanization. This is Super Bowl 55, 2011. No, wait. 45. Yeah. The Black Eyed Peas. Does anybody like the Black Eyed Peas? Did anybody ever like the Black Eyed Peas? But anyway, these, these kind of alien figures. And then we see, we talked about the Weeknd show with these dehumanized. This reminds me of Pink Floyd The Wall here too. Kind of interesting. I wonder how much of this Hamish Hamilton had input into considering his connection to Mark Fisher. And then this was last year's, these elderly black men here in boxes. I'm not exactly sure, but dehumanized people, put in boxes, put in masks, robbed of their humanity. Seems to be clear messaging here. And oh gosh, I should have posted this. I just thought of it now, but there's a great comic book story, an old comic book called 8 Ball by a guy named Dan Klaus, who wrote the screenplay for Ghost World, which was Scarlett Johansson's breakout role. But he talked about how the intense homoeroticism of professional sports, and this is the celebratory golden shower here. Right, and you see this in a lot of football games. This, to me, seems to be a ritualistic golden shower, which is why I named it such. We don't have to read this, but this, it started back in the early 80s on the Giants. The NFLim, of course. Bill Parcells game against the Redskins, who are now called, well, I loved when they were called the Washington football team. That was just like so stupid, wokeness run amok. But that's when it started back in 1984, and we see it over and over again now, and I find it very annoying, as well as maybe not so subtly or unintentionally homoerotic, right? And there it is again, the golden shower, the celebratory, the ritual golden shower, the winning coach gets pissed on, basically, right? Gets pissed on. But the interesting thing, too, is that, we talked about the lightning. I saw Satan falling from heaven like lightning. The lightning bolt. And that is Gatorade's symbol, isn't it now? So that's the coach and the Eagles. There you go. I think those are both Eagles. Eagles, Vegas, right? Fallen Vegas. Eagle has landed. kissing the sacred testicle, the procession of the sacred testicle. So, I mean, just look at a football. That's not too big a leap, right? Watch this tomorrow night. It's, it's, I don't know, like something you would see in like the West, in a club in the West Village in the late 70s or something. This is the Vince Lombardi Trophy, and they run this little gauntlet, and all these football players caress it and kiss it. It's like, let the sacred testicle fill you with the seeds of victory. Pretty funny stuff. There it is again. I guess that's the Rams, the Amuns, the lost fallen angels, Amuns, kissing the sacred testicle. The adoration of the sacred testicle. Yes. And in that sort of line, this was a 2018. That's David Harbour. I'm not sure who the gentleman on the right is, but clear Templar symbolism there, right? Two on the horse, right? And this is the same Super Bowl. We see these two guys from the Giants. Well, that's obviously Eli Manning, 10 and 13, 10-13, more Templar symbolism there, right? And this was rather sinister. I don't know how many old school Secret Santas there are here, but this is for Alexa. And this is somebody's Alexa, waking them up. And we see this Lucifer statue and this Terminator statue together. So Lucifer and Terminator associated with Alexa. Some people have rather cheekily said that Alexa is short for Edward Alexander Crowley, a.k.a. Aleister Crowley. And when I see the Terminator and, this fake AI and then the Lucifer statue, I can't help but wonder if they may be onto something. And there's Linda. Now, to end this all up, the siren. So this might be Mr. Hamilton's contribution, considering his association with, all these sort of phrase-adjacent personalities. But the producer of a lot of these shows is Mr. Ricky Kirshner, son of Don Kirshner. And we talked about Don Kirshner recently, who was my wife's neighbor back in the early 80s and actually went to the same college and graduated the same year, Lehigh University. And there he is with a Fallen Angel Emmy, right? There's Mr. Kirshner, the producer. I don't think he produces these anymore. But Don Kirshner was the musical director of the Monkees. And the Monkees, of course, is where we first heard Song to the Siren, Mr. Timothy Buckley there. So there's an interesting connection, a familial connection, but an interesting one nonetheless. But it gets more interesting. Now, Katy Perry is all about the mermaid. You'll see her dressed as a mermaid all the time, or used to, maybe not so much anymore. And then she is playing a lyra. So there's the harp, the lyra, vega. She loves to show off those curves in these mermaid outfits, right? There she is coming out of a shell, just like the Bluebeard video. We don't have to talk about that. And there she is as Ursula, Little Mermaid. So she's, she's quite taken with this symbolism. So interesting that this working, let's call it a working, the Super Bowl 49 working, that jaws will drop and faces will melt working, that Miss Firework Perry was involved in. Very taken with siren adjacent symbolism. And of course Madonna, this is an old video from, I believe, from the 80s, right? An old Madonna video with a mermaid. Lady Gaga, right? A video from 2010, believe. She should call Poker Face Butterface. Sorry, that wasn't very nice. But anyhow, she's a Satanist, so I don't care. There she is with her doing the mermaid siren business, right? And Britney Spears, who was on one of these Super Bowls at some point. There she is, dressed as a mermaid, right? There she is. I guess those are her kids, right? So mermaid. Gwen Stefani, who appeared with Sting in the Super Bowl, debut Baby Bump in skin-tight mermaid costume. And she's one of these celebrities who's transitioning her children, at least one of them. I believe that Charlize Theron, a.k.a. I call her the Great Beast because, Grand Therion, Charlize Theron, sorry, bad joke. Gwen Stefani, another Super Bowl mermaid. Shakira, and Fergie from Black Eyed Peas in their mermaid outfits, right? So you think, okay, well, that's pretty common for, a lot of women dress up in mermaid costumes, particularly the celebrities. But, here's U2 with the celebrities. Who plays the mermaid? Who plays the mermaid when U2 do their obligatory mermaid bit? Super Bowl stars, post 9/11 stars, U2. Of course, that's Samantha Morton. Playing a siren so soon after her appearance in Minority Report, where she played a Sybil. Sybil and a siren. What's motivating Miss Morton there? There we go, and there's Larry Mullen there. We see how tiny Samantha is. Even though her proportions make her look taller, she's a very, very small woman, because Larry Mullen isn't that tall either. She's a very tiny woman, which we've discussed at length. So, we talked about Adam Levine with his rather envious siren mermaid on his back there, his tramp stamp there. And it appears that Tom Petty used the siren motif on one of his tours. This is a tour poster, an appearance at the Fillmore in San Francisco. So there's the mermaids everywhere. Mermaids as far as the eye can see. All associated with the Super Bowl. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Katy Perry. Witness. We talked about Witness, right? We talked about Witness and the Watchers and Witness. Well, I didn't talk about it here, but the Witness statues. Those demonic statues in New York. Witness, there she is, the Watcher, the watching eye, the eye in the mouth. That's the same album with her little cannibal song, Bon Appetit, which is just repulsive. But the reason I bring this up is she did the song called Tsunami, which is just a flat-out rewrite of a Cocteau Twins song called Watchlar, which I believe is the first true trip-hop song. She basically... her and her producers, and I probably suspect, again, that Weeknd was involved there, just basically rewrote it, but, the artwork to promote the single is her as the siren again. And, of course, you remember the Witnesses, or those of you who watched the Phrase Fest presentation, remember Witnesses, and remember the Cocteau Twins sex dungeon from Witnesses, right? So there we go. So interesting connections there. Katy Perry looking rather insane. On the left there, Witness, the third eye, and then the eye in the mouth, part of her cannibalistic adoration. And then the Witnesses, Watchlar, Cocteau Twins Sex Dungeon. And there's some good old-time football. The old leather helmets, right? Playing in the grass, old time. So there is Super Bowl sorcery. There's a lot more to discuss here, but it's almost 1 o'clock. So, yeah. All right. There we go. Oh, there we go. let me just say that I strongly suspect that we're going to see something that we may want to do a follow-up with tomorrow or tonight now with Rihanna, with all her satanic adoration. Considering what's going on in the world today, I really definitely feel we're going to be seeing something going on. So we might have to do a follow-up just on Super Bowl 57. Super Bowl 57. You're welcome. You're welcome, Jessica. You are welcome. You are welcome, Casey. You are welcome, Quicks. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, okay. Oh. I'm just going to wait here for questions because I'm a little bit out of breath. I'm a little congested, so there you go. You are very welcome, Aki Guinea, because especially because I love that name. Dafilsta, yes, thank you. Nathaniel, thank you. You go to bed now. You go to bed now. You are welcome. You are welcome, Lyle. Yes. Thank you very much, Thor. Thank you very much, user. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, Crispy. Very much, Crispy. I'm going to ask you guys a question. Thank you, Ewok. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Janet. Thank you very much indeed. So I'm going to ask you guys a question. You explain all that to me. I'm very curious to hear how that's going to be explained. Yes. Yeah, so the siren, the Gorgon, yeah, it's all very similar. The old ones, the watery ones, yes. The ISIS sun disk tattoo, absolutely. Oh, my goodness. Jaw dropped. Power ritual for Hillary's campaign. I'm not saying anything. But boy, that's I really gotta wonder. Should we add the unfortunate Miss Brody, Mrs. Ellen Brody? She should be added to the Clinton death count. Makes me wonder. Is she? I mean, I'm not saying so. I would never say something like that. I'm just asking you guys, just hypothetically, should we add Miss Ellen Brody, who found herself being diverted into the gates of heaven and was obviously confused by what was happening to her with all these weird malfunctions, I guess you would say. Do we add her to the death count along with people like Ronald Brown? Let me see here. Eagles will win. They'll beat the Secret Chiefs. Witness album Katy Perry did was a career ender. Well, that's just really unfortunate. But it could be because she just aged out. That just happens. Pop stars have very short shelf lives. Rock stars or, certain performers, they can go for the long run. But pop stars tend to burn fast and burn out. Okay. What's going on here? It was definitely planned. I'm not saying anything. I think that was it for the campaign. Spawn of Cthulhu. Add that to the death count. Those people were a literal burnt offering. The detour doesn't even make sense from the Taconic Parkway. I agree. I mean, I don't agree with the burnt offering. I could never agree with that. But that detour doesn't make any sense at all. You know, why would you, you know, it does. That's very weird. Why would they be diverted that way? And what, you know, what strange luck that the gate would come down on Mrs. Brody's car. Mrs. Brody's car, the gate just landed, and she, you know, she couldn't get away. She couldn't get away from this commuter train barreling towards her. Literal burnt offering. Literal burnt offering. Oh, I don't believe that Miss Brody called on anything, Lyle. I think that Miss Brody was... I don't think she was calling on anything. I think callings were being made for her, would be my guess. But that's just strictly, you know, hypothetical. Jaws will drop and faces will melt. Taconic Park. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is, it's horrific, but that is an outstanding pun, Paul. Another remote control car incident. Makes me wonder, Rob. Makes me wonder. I mean, purely hypothetically. Purely hypothetically. I'm struck by the fact that the driver of the train was Air Force. That just seems very odd to me. Very odd to me indeed. Okay. Did business with the devil. Well, her boss did. She worked for the, you know, she didn't do anything. She was just working for the company that worked with the Clintons. She was an employee. You know, she was just doing her job. Aki Guinea, good night. Good night to you. Good night. Good night. Oh, and let me just reiterate, too, since we looked at all the siren symbolism, that Mrs. Brody was on her way to meet a friend at Starbucks. So there you go. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. Air Force Intel was behind the police-guarded tour of the Capitol. Oh. What a surprise. What a surprise. Princess Diana agrees. Yeah, Princess Diana. Not entirely dissimilar situation. Tarrytown, Sleepy Hollow, Headless Horseman. Yes. Good night, Crispy. Good night. Good night. Good night. Everyone who's leaving, good night. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sticking so long through all my ramblings. Oh, Air Force Intel. Interesting. 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 Amazing how these rituals hit their marks step by step in the timing. Boy, you'd almost call it like military precision, wouldn't you? Military precision, wouldn't you? I mean, you know, purely hypothetically. And the fact that, you know, a military guy who just started working there. There you go. Hilaria Clinton had a bracelet designed by ICD with the charm of her granddaughter, Charlotte. Hamish Hamilton is also a publisher that published E.B. White's Charlotte's Web. That's very interesting, Zach. Very interesting. Very creepy. All for that went to Charoletta. She is his spangled baby. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. Oh my goodness. I think we're in for a show tonight, folks. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't even have cable anymore, though. I don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I don't know if we're going over to my son's house. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what the hell's going on. I got work to do around the house, though. I've been really busy this week doing work, so I don't know. There you go. There you go, everyone. Thank you very much, as always. Thank you for your support and your patronage and your friendship and your patience sitting through my long, meandering rants. I find that very gratifying. I really do. I really, really, really do. It's going to be a real weird halftime show. I would imagine it would be. I would imagine it would be. Just a question to throw out to the group. Does anybody really believe that Kim Petras was the first trans woman to win a Grammy? I would say maybe the first open trans woman to win a Grammy, but I have a hard time buying that one. You tell me what you think. The Sam Smith was just a warm-up. Oh, no pun intended, right? No pun intended. Yes. Very interesting. Very interesting. We don't watch American Hand. I love that. American Hand Egg. How an American hand testicle? Testicle ball, right? American Hand Egg. I love it. Oh my God, that's great. Discord Hangouts. I have Zoom going now, so if anybody wants to do a Zoom Hangout, you let me know. You let me know. Thank you again. Thank you, Zach. Did Wendy Carlos win? I don't know. Open trans, yeah. Probably not the first openly trans. Did Grace Jones ever win a Grammy? I don't know. You guys do me a favor and you look at some photos of Rihanna and you tell me what you think's going on there. She's got extremely large feet and very large hands. I don't know. I'm not saying anything. I'm just asking you. You guys look at some photos of Rihanna and you tell me what you think. Always up for the Zoom. Good. Very glad to hear it. Very glad to hear it. Oh my goodness. Gaga. Yeah. I don't think Gaga is trans. She's got too much junk in the trunk, I think. Her body type reminds me a lot of Italian girls from FIT that I used to work with in New York. Yeah, it's Rihanna reminds me a lot of these island girls that I used to work with in New York, and Lady Gaga reminds me of all these girls from Long Island. There are rumors that Gaga is trans. Well, you know what? Who the hell knows anymore? We are just living in an upside-down world. Aren't we? Aren't we now? Aren't we now? Kissing that trophy is something I can't unsee. Yes, kissing the sacred testicle, the adoration of the sacred testicle. Yes, absolutely. The Gaga soul stealing. I have blogged on that a number, and I've talked about the soul stealing controversy, and I've talked about her aunt that died like 5 years before she was born. I just go to the blog. I have talked about that a number of times, actually. Gaga is... people need to watch Vox Lux with... we talked about that during the live stream. I'll give away the ending. At the ending, the Natalie Portman character sells her soul to Satan, And kind of wonder if that is a commentary on Miss Stephanie Germata. Stephanie Germata. Never tell a foot fetishist to stay at least 100 feet away from you. 100 feet. Oh, bum. Maybe all the closet trans celebrities are chosen and transitioned at a very early age, so it's harder to tell. Who knows? Maybe. So, yeah, so Gaga, that panda eye thing, because I'm always kind of like, this, it's almost like, a little bit of a balancing act. Like, what do I, God, when that whole panda eye thing, I mean, even if it is just a sick joke, that's just wrong. That makes me think that she is seriously fucked in the head. Seriously fucked in the head. And she sang it. Did she sing at the inauguration too? I don't even remember anymore. I do not even remember anymore. Oh my goodness. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Any last words? Any last words? Any last words? Any last words? Or any lost words? Any lost words? Yeah, that was proper grim, all right. That was proper grim, all right. Sure as heck was. Sure as heck was. Wouldn't surprise me if a portal opens up in the field like in Outer Range. Well, nothing's going to surprise me anymore. I'm not surprised. Good night, Casey. Thank you for coming. Thank you. I'm predicting Apollo Eagles. Hey, there you go. The Nizrocks. The Philadelphia Nizrocks. Gaga Beyonce video where they kill anyone in the diner. I totally forgot about that. That was a long time ago. Thank you. Best turnout ever. Yes, it certainly was. It certainly was. Orbs everywhere. Yes. Good night, Zach. Good night, Rob. Thank you. Thanks to all and sundry. Yes. Thank you very much. All right. I'm going to end the broadcast. Oh, OCD. I have to wait till 1:15. Yeah. Yep. I can't end it at 1:12. It has to be, sorry. That's just OCD being weird again. Ross, Ben, and Michael Wan collab. I don't know what that means. Sorry. Crash, Krusty. Crash. Good night, all. Good night to you all. Absolutely good night. Yes. Good night. 3-minute warning. Yeah. You are very welcome, Lyle. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. On THC. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with them, so I can't really say. I'm so busy all the time. I get so little time to really listen to other people's shows anymore. You are welcome, David. You are welcome. You are very welcome. Very welcome. Very welcome. They dabble in synchromysticism. Synchromysticism is not something you dabble in, man. It's all the way or out the door. You're in it to win it. In for a penny, in for a pound. Artist of the year. Right. See Alien or watch a Symbolism in the halftime show, probably. Poor man's Chris Knowles. There you go. My city will look like Beirut if the Birds win or lose tomorrow. Yeah, well, I guess you're from Philly. Not doing too good. You know, Kensington's become world infamous now. I see people talking about Kensington all over the place now. 10-13 would have been a good close. Yeah, but you know what? It's not 10-13 here, brother. It's 1-13. Oh, Michael Wan. Ah, there we go. There we go. Now I can end it. Oh, wait a second. Oh, shoot. Give me a second here. I'm just